Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Greetings, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of Defining Duke. We hope each and every single one of you, or in Karak's case, every odd number one of you, is doing absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, agreed. This is Karak with ACG, and I do hope that every odd-numbered person out there fucks off.
Oh my god.
And hey, it's me. It's me, ChrisRayGun. I'm here actually. Like it's been a long time coming. 2 episodes.
2 episodes and people were just like beating down the door like, get him on, come on.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. We wanted this. One of the things we wanted to do with our show is get guests on. So Chris, certainly this won't be the last time you're on. We want Colin on at some point. We want to bring other Xbox employees, maybe a little Phil Spencer action here. We're opening the door to everybody, just to make sure people know, like, hey, this show is collaborative. So we're about that action. I realized I didn't say my name at the beginning of the show, so it's to a lot of you out there, I may be like an anonymous voice. I'm Matty, in case you don't know. Now, with that out of the way,
as viewership drops the moment they find out you're on the show, you're like, "Here's Matty," and they're all, "Oh, all right."
They're like,
"We're gone."
This fucking asshole.
We lost.
All right. With that, ladies and gentlemen, early access for this show goes live every Thursday over on patreon.com/laststandmedia, and it's going to hit free feeds like Spotify, Apple/Google Podcasts, and plenty more on Sunday. Furthermore, you can watch the video version on the Last Stand Media YouTube channel. We just hit 10,000 plus patrons over on the Last Stand Media Patreon. That means that Defining Duke, Gold, Ultimate, Plus, whatever we're going to call it, I'm leaning towards Ultimate. I think that's the choice here. That seems fitting because I think Xbox is going to cut Gold at some point.
Yeah.
But it's coming February. So we're doing bonus shows. That means every week we're going to have a supplemental conversation on the Patreon, exclusive to patrons. So be sure to continue to submit your questions en masse so that we can mailbag them, go back to earlier threads. That means that pretty much no question's going to be left to the wayside because we try to squeeze everything we can into this show, and then all the remaining ones can be used on Defining Duke Ultimate. So with that, we have that bonus show coming in over Maine as long as we stay above 10,000 patrons over on Last Stand Media. So really exciting stuff. I do have a request for the audience, though. We don't ask for a lot here. We just try to deliver. But I'm going to say this. We're at 80 reviews over on like Apple Podcasts, I noticed. 5 stars. We're doing really well. We're doing extremely well, actually, especially out the gate. Nothing's really happening with Xbox. We got the medium next week. So I'm going to make the humble request. Can we push past 100? The reason I ask that is strictly because this is what helps the podcast grow.
Yeah.
Just when you don't really have a lot of media attention and friends pimping it out, you need the audience. So we're going to lean on you a little bit here in the early going. We appreciate you all who have already taken that initiative and left us kind reviews. If you want to leave that review, that's fine, but the 5-star rating goes a long way. So with that, we've asked enough of you. Thank you so much. And let's talk about us, gentlemen. Chris, you're our guest. We like to just do a little early on talking about projects and stuff. What have you been up to, brother?
Oh my God, just far too much probably for any given person for one time. But I'm obviously like I do Sacred Symbols twice a week. It's a PlayStation show over on Last Stand. I do my own. I run and edit and do my own show, the Snark Tank, which is more like conversational, more comedic. That's every week too. We just hit a year on that, so this is pretty cool. It's the first time I've actually done something consistently for that long, so I feel pretty good about it. But
all right.
And I have my YouTube channel that is still kind of a big focus. But I'm working on music at the same time, so it's just a lot at once.
Busy boy.
Yeah.
Busy boy. Oh my gosh.
I gotta keep busy. What the hell am I can't go anywhere.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah, when quarantine started, people were like, "You must be busy." I'm like, "Yes," because there's literally nothing to do.
Just work.
Yeah. Karak, what about you, man?
Let's see. What can we talk about? We got done with Hitman, so maybe we'll discuss that a little bit. in this. Sure. I posted an Everspace preview. I'm reviewing a couple NDA games, doing a preview. Dungeons & Dragons games starting in the Discord. And let's see. Podcast this Friday. Funny enough, we're at 6 years. We just got, so this will be, I think this will be close to, either it's this episode or last episode. I don't keep track that much, but other people do. But I think we're at 6 years for my podcast on Fridays on Twitch. So that'll be fun. I don't exactly know what we're going to do. I already gave away the PS4 or the PS5 and the Xbox. So maybe we'll give some games away.
That'd be so funny if you were actually giving away a PS4.
Yeah, no shit. Like with the Xbox being bought, supposedly the wrong ones. That'd be awesome. But other than that, not much. Just a ton of like podcasts,
Yeah.
Like too many. Like I was thinking about it yesterday. My wife is, man, like it's become a thing where it's like, okay, seriously, we need to pare it down. Pare it down.
Yeah, we get so many
days are way too long.
I get it though. Yeah. Well, we got Defining Duke. Now we got the bonus show coming in February.
You got the bonus show.
Yeah,
I ain't adding that. Man, yeah, there's no way I can add that, man. Like, dude, it's crazy. People don't realize it. You've got that. But I mean, it's like a podcast takes 2 or 3 hours just to set up behind the scenes for just the 1 hour.
Yeah, so, it's a lot more work than I think it seems like when you're listening to it.
It's crazy.
Because I remember like I tweeted like, oh yeah, I've been writing and editing the Snark Tank for a year now. It's like I felt pretty good about it, and I tweeted about that, and somebody was like, you write it? And I'm like, yeah. Like I mean, it's like improvisational, obviously, but I mean, you gotta plan it. You can't just go in blind and just be like, hey,
dude.
Joe Rogan can do that, but that's because he asks everybody else to come on and talk, and he's a good interviewer.
Yeah.
But it's like for the most part, most people have to prep at some point. Yeah. Or just get your shit set up. It takes me 45 minutes to get lighting set up because I don't have a studio.
Oh yeah, no, especially like when you got video thrown in the mix. That's like a whole nother thing.
It's crazy. I interrupted you though, Matty.
Oh no, I was just saying it takes me like 2.5 hours just to write this show alone. 2.5, 3 hours just to put together the script.
You're doing the work behind the scenes. Those notes are really nice.
I figured for guys like us, when it's just you and I, usually Karak, we talk a fuck ton. So it's just like, how do we slim that down to keep it in a 2 hour time frame?
Yeah.
But yeah, between that and ham radio, we got a lot of podcasts. So with that, we like to start off our show with 5 viewer-submitted questions, listener-submitted questions. You can submit yours on patreon.com/laststandmedia, just like Adrian Pinter, who's got a bone to pick with Karak. And Karak's got a headache, so Adrian, I think you're about to feel the wrath,
Watch the fuck out. No, I'm just joking. Go ahead.
Dear Mr. Matty and Karak, just wanted to write in and tell you that your opinion on Five Guys is something I vehemently disagree with. If you think it's too greasy of a burger, whatever. It's not. But fine, to each their own. But for Karak to have the, in capital letters, audacity to come out of a 5-minute conversation bashing Five Guys only to say that Wendy's is his favorite burger place is the most preposterous, unbelievable, and downright offensive thing I've ever heard in my life. What the hell is wrong with you, man? Now admit it. The Wendy's burgers are not bad. Hell, I'd even say they're pretty good, but it is nowhere near the best, and to think otherwise is insane. It's better than Shake Shack and Five Guys? No, not even close. You just made an enemy, Karak. This is now the feud you never asked for or wanted, and you're out of your goddamn mind in thinking I'll ever let any of this go if you don't do some self-reflection and realize how wrong you are. I'll be waiting. Anyway, take care and have a good night. Adrian.
Holy shit.
What do you think about someone taking about probably 5 minutes out of their life to write to you about Five Guys and your opinion on Wendy's? I will say, Karak, I don't think I held your feet to the flame enough when you gave Wendy's a big pat on the back. I don't like Wendy's. Quite frankly, I think it's gross. But, Karak, this was all you, man. This was all you. What do you have to say for yourself?
Okay. He just spent 5 minutes more than I ever spent on caring about burgers. I don't give a fuck. He likes whatever he likes. The difference is he cares about my opinion. I do not care about his. What if and a beef takes 2 people. So he can care all he wants. It's just a burger. I saw people lose their fucking mind over this. And I was just like, man, you guys need to fucking grow up or have some experiences in your life. Like, I got DMs about it. People pissed.
You got DMs?
About the Five Guys thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just cancerous people, man. I hate them. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And the people in the Discord are usually fine. But it's like people on the outside, I got DMs about it. And I was like, dude, seriously, if I could choke you to death, I would do so right now. Like, you're such a piece of cancerous shit And I was just sitting there going like, man, we can't even joke around. And of course, you know me, I'll joke right over the fucking top of them anyway. But like,
Oh, of course.
at the same time, it's like, damn, son, like that's what you took out of the entire conversation. Obviously, this person didn't. They're very cool. They were joking around. But some people outside of this really did take it serious. And it was just like, wow, I don't know what to say, man. Like, sheltered lives.
Only thing you could do is just continue to destroy Five Guys.
Oh, it's fucking trash. Yeah, it's wet, hot garbage. Like, I mean, sewers in Calcutta, easily, I would absolutely drink from them versus having fucking, like, it's been bad experiences. The thing is you can have bad experiences from a good restaurant, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's possible. It's just I've had like 50 bad experiences. At some point, you know,
at some
it's
point
an
you
abusive
gotta,
relationship.
Yeah, at some point you got to cut it loose. You just got to be like, all right, this probably isn't worth it.
I think I'm just not a big burger fan anyway, though. Like, I have some Wendy's occasionally, but other than that, I'm not. Like, I don't. I'm not like connoisseur of burgers.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta know where Chris stands on this whole thing.
Oh, I love Five Guys, but like
You
it's
love
also
Five
like
Guys.
a place that like I've been to and I've had nothing but good experiences. But I also am not like a burger person, really. Like burgers are like one of those things where it's like I'll get it maybe once a month. I'll have a burger. And
Yeah, I would say I'm about exactly
you know,
the
and
same number.
if I'm gonna go for like a burger place, typically, you know, I'm gonna go for the one that like I've had the best experiences with, and for me that just happens to be Five Guys. I also haven't like out here like in LA. They're pretty reliable, but I've had fucking really bad Five Guys too before. Like I've been to places like I've been to like I had Five Guys in Canada once, and it was
Oh my God,
really
that sounds terrible.
really despicable what I saw over there. But you know, and obviously there's a Five Guys back where I grew up that's not particularly good at all.
Right.
But you know, I don't know. It all depends on.
I think sometimes they just don't give a fuck. Like the name is there, and sometimes the owner, you know, like a Dairy Queen, which I love Blizzards, but it's like I wouldn't eat from a Dairy Queen if my life depended
yeah,
on
no,
it
no,
if it's not a Blizzard. So, but it's the owner sometimes, you know. You'll get that owner who just, they're turning it over. They just don't care. I mean,
No, for sure.
You get some bad owners sometimes.
I will say though, this dude had like a weird. He's like Shake Shack and Five Guys. It's like no, Shake Shack sucks. Shake Shack is just not particularly good at all.
What, he says he likes Shake Shack?
Well, he said like he had an issue with you saying that Wendy's was better than Shake Shack and Five Guys, and he's putting like Shake Shack and Five Guys in the same place, and I'm like,
I don't know what Shake Shack is. I don't think we discussed Shake Shack at all.
But
I could be wrong. Maybe we did.
It's whatever. It's very menially okay, but like not even close to a good burger. Like I don't think.
You know, I will just say In-N-Out is disgusting.
It's
while we're at it.
It is putrid. Yeah.
While we're at it, I don't know what the hype is. I just think it might be like when you go to California, you know, there's just so many different foods you can have, and maybe this is one of the more bigger burger staples out there. And I mean, I went there in 2014 and I got it and I vomited. That was it. That was the story.
It's
like
just cheap. That's it. That's like literally all it has going for it. It's like, oh, you can get a burger, a shake, and fries for 13 cents. And it's like, wow, I bet that's really quality meat that you're getting. And it's like at a certain point, it's just like, you know, I understand the value of like you know, something that's cheap and something that's like going to feed you ultimately for a really low amount of money. But like at the same time, you got to really, you got to face the facts and realize that you just like this because it's cheap and that's it.
Yeah, there's a point where you know the money is the better taste, right? Like, you know, like I think was it McDonald's or Wendy's has like a 4 for $4 that my friends love, and I'm like, you just love the value. You don't love the food. You love the value.
Yeah,
and that's what fast food's all about.
And that's fine, but don't hype up the value.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on. Anthony J. Sanchez writes in, hey, my favorite gaming duo, what's your excitement level for the medium? For me, things are starting to really ratchet up. This will be the first true next-gen title for the Xbox Series X/S. Do you guys think this title will start to show what's capable on these new machines? Also, besides the two worlds simultaneously, will there be any other next-gen features? Thanks for your response. So, Chris, I don't want to, you know, I feel like I got to always bounce it straight to you. You're our guest. Is there anything for you with the medium happening here? Are you interested in this game at all?
I'm interested in it. From what I saw, like they did like a bit of a gameplay thing, I think like a week or two ago or something. I can't remember exactly when. but they showed like a big chunk of gameplay, and it like it looks neat, but I'm not like excited about it. Like it looks like oh hey okay, so it's a lady walking around, and there's.
It's a tough sell.
It renders 2 environments at once. That's kind of neat. There's interesting puzzle mechanics going on there, and I could see myself enjoying it for what it's doing in that regard. But it's not the next gen showing that I'm like really pumped for. Like if this was the only next gen title that we had to look forward to for a while, I'd be pretty bummed about that. Not to say it looks bad. Like I think it looks good for what it's trying to do, but
Right. Yeah, I don't think it looks bad either. I think it's just that, it's going to be a piece of the puzzle at the end of the day. I don't think it's going to be that next gen crazy display that's going to wow people. I think it's got potential, but it's really fighting an uphill battle. Number one, horror games don't seem to do as well nowadays, and now they're day one Game Pass and they're Xbox exclusive. And the specs I saw that are demanded for this game on PC are pretty crazy because it is rendering 2 environments at once. I do think they're fighting an uphill battle where it might be really hard for this game to get on people's radar, even if they wanted to play it. They'll probably end up watching it. Like I think 80% of people consume their horror games nowadays.
Yeah,
which kind of sucks. But Karak, what about you? I mean, we've talked a lot about the medium because it's kind of the first big exclusive that we'll be able to talk about on this show. Obviously, we don't want to overhype it. I think the Two Worlds thing looks cool, but is there anything else that has stuck out to you as, we've got more pre-launch info about it?
No, I mean, it's a perfect name. Like, it's medium. Like, that's pretty much my my level for it.
True.
I
Yeah.
do think that people are blowing it out of proportion and lying to themselves if they think there's something special about rendering 2 worlds. Halo Split Screen's done that for years. There's absolutely nothing magnificent or magical about what they're doing. And in fact, the ability to control 2 camera screens means there's a ton of tricks they can do above that. The desire to show a certain visual fidelity is very cool. And I didn't realize the PC specs were so high, so I'll have to look at those. But I do want to make sure that we're clear that showing 2 things would not cause that visual, like it would not cause the requirements to go higher. That would not be it. It would be their engine or something to do with that. But I think what you see there is it's like when I used to like Alan Wake and think that was cool as an exclusive for Microsoft. No one fucking cared. No one cared about Quantum Break.
Yeah.
So I'll care, and I'll play it, and I'll probably like it. Like I've liked wasn't as big of a fan of Quantum Break, but Alan Wake being one of my favorite games of all time. I'll probably like it and love it, and then start talking about it in my Discord, and people will be like, what game? Oh, it's on Game Pass. I'll check it out later.
As a Danganronpa fan, do I hear that?
Yeah, so, we've all been there. But I don't think it's really garnering any kind of, like... I don't know if the term would be positive press, but really excitement. At least when I talk to people, it's more like, oh, it's an exclusive versus it looks like a cool exclusive.
Yeah, right.
And
it's
that's like being in a relationship, but not a good one. That's pretty fucking stupid. Like, that's the wrong kind of celebration, bro. So I'm hoping it's on Game Pass, right? Like, that's the best part. Yeah. I had somebody pop into Game Pass this morning. They saw that Twitter feed thing, and they were just like, what the fuck? Game Pass is the craziest thing, because they were showing the new games.
Yeah.
That is probably the best part of Medium, is that it's coming out on Game Pass, and people can jump into it if they choose to. And I think that's very cool.
Yeah, I put out a review request for that, so hopefully we get something for the sake of discussion for Defining Duke in the coming week or so. That'll be exciting to see.
What day is that out? Do we know? I mean,
28th.
we know. I don't know.
28th, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So I was actually looking up the PC requirements real quickly, just because.
Yeah, what are they requiring?
So let's say high, like I could go ultra and really just pour it on.
No, high is fine. Ultra's usually future proof.
Yeah. High is saying RTX 2060 Super. Actually, you know what? I was just looking at Ultra.
So
I apologize. I was looking at Ultra.
Okay.
That's what I saw. Yeah,
Ultra probably turns like their
they put 3080 or 3060
right.
Ti in here, something like that. Just
high
Something
fidelity
outrageous.
shadows, SSAO, all this
Yeah.
shit. Which, by
Yeah,
the way,
I
you'll get a
apologize.
person, and if you don't show them, you're changing the options for like SSAO. Most people won't know if it's on low, high, or medium. As long as it's on, most people will be like, "Hey, that's cool."
Yeah.
So
I can't tell the difference between a lot of PC specs. Like, just give me a high frame
Yeah.
rate and I'm fine. Like, I don't.
there
I
you
feel
go.
like I'm
Yeah.
reading code.
Fucking
Or at the very minimum, locked for Christ's sakes.
Yeah,
Get away
yeah.
from the variable crap.
yeah, just fucking. I don't care. Like chromatic aberration. Oh, okay. Like,
Yeah. It
Whatever.
looks like a 1970s horror movie when it's chromatic aberration. Like, that's pretty much what it's trying to mimic is old horror movies.
Yeah.
Even though Alien Isolation, I don't know if you guys played that, it had chromatic, and I got to admit, man, I played with that on, even though it gave everybody I was playing and streaming with headaches. I dug the shit out of the look of that game. But
That's the
I think
one. That's one that
only
I've been meaning to play. I never got around to
I-
it for some
I
reason.
wimped out. I'll be real.
so sweet. Really
I
good
wimped
game.
out.
You wimped
I
out.
just gotta like sack up and go for some of these games, man.
'cause
Like
it was
I
a
just,
horror game?
yeah, I just, I mean, the medium's gonna be a good test. We'll see how I handle
Observer,
that.
their game prior to this, was also
Yeah,
really good. Rutger
I played
Hauer.
a couple of hours of that on stream. I just didn't really like the Observer that much,
I got you.
which I was a little surprised by. I thought I would dig that, but anyway, continue on. Let's talk a little bit about Halo. Cody Horn writes in, "Hey gents, what are your thoughts on 343's handling of Halo? I've long thought that Microsoft should hand the Halo IP to a more competent studio. I thought the Coalition would be the team that has the technical prowess to handle the series. In my opinion, it's Microsoft's most it's Microsoft's most important IP. Maybe not so much with the recent Bethesda purchase, but definitely historically. I simply know too many people who purchase Xbox consoles due to 360 era Halo nostalgia, not to treat the series with more care. Who do you think Microsoft should hand the IP to another studio, and if so, who?"
Man,
It's tough.
That's a loaded question.
It's tough because I do think that, obviously on a whole tech and graphic level, we can talk about that later, but I thought Halo Infinite actually looked pretty good. But my hope is, I feel like 343 is pretty good at communication. It's clear they listen. So my hope is like with the sprinting, for example, that's a point of contention. And Chris, you made like a really great Halo video. And I remember you talking about that, and kind of that's what opened my eyes to all of that. And I remember thinking to myself, it'd be great if they just had a playlist, like a no sprint playlist. Like, I don't know why that hasn't been a thought or if that's even possible,
Yeah.
but
I don't know. That's a
Split
whole.
your play group would be rough, man.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing, and it also like it's so intrinsic to like map design that you couldn't really have like a playlist with or without it. It would have to be like
that's a
you
good
could.
point.
It's not something that you could compromise on.
Very
But
good point.
I do think I don't know. Like it's easy to say that like 343 hasn't handled the Halo IP well. And I think I would say that too, but at the same time, it's like this is like a studio of people that just kind of came together with the sole purpose of stewarding the most important franchise for this whole console division into the future with like very minimal guidance. Like they weren't even allowed to consult with Bungie early on because the breakup between them and Microsoft was so bitter at the time. I remember like Marty O'Donnell was talking about how like, oh yeah, like when they were working on Combat Evolved Anniversary, like they weren't allowed to consult me about the music or anything because, he was still with Bungie at the time, and
it's tough.
It's I don't know, like I think they definitely screwed up a lot. And I have major criticisms of Halo 4 and Halo 5, honestly less so.
Interesting.
I think they've gotten better as time has gone on. I think Halo Wars 2 was way better than it had any right to be. I think
totally agree.
I think the Master Chief Collection was like a colossal failure of a launch, probably like the worst launch in video game history, I think, even still with Cyberpunk. But, they got that collection to a point where that's a pretty compelling piece of software to own. It's like it's doing really, really well. I play it consistently. And and Halo Infinite, in my opinion, does look pretty cool. Like from a gameplay perspective, from like an art style perspective, like, yeah, they've got to work on the lighting and they got to work on like some minor things. And I'm still not super thrilled at the idea of like even a modicum of the DNA of enhanced movement being in there. But I don't know. I think they're only getting better. And I don't know if there's another studio that really could handle it. Like people have asked me this question on Sacred Symbols a lot too, where like, oh, what if Halo was given to id or something now that Bethesda is under Microsoft's umbrella? And I'm like, I don't think id could make a good Halo game.
I agree with
because
that entirely.
Doom and Halo are very different things. It's easy to look at a first-person shooter and be like, oh, it's a gun and it's aiming somewhere, so they're all the same. But anybody who plays FPSs knows that Call of Duty is different to Battlefield, is different to Halo, is different to Doom, and it's those subtle design philosophies between those series that differentiate them. And Halo isn't about fast-paced, speed and glory kills and like it's not about that. And I feel like if id was behind it, and they're the only people who I think would even do like an okay job of it, I feel like they would completely miss the point. So I think I don't know. I think 343 just needs better management. I think they just need to be, more effective with how they decide things and more effective with how they communicate with their employees. I think that's really the only thing that needs to change, because really, realistically, nobody's in a better position to continue making Halo games than 343. I don't even think Bungie could come back to it at this point.
Yeah,
I know. I just said a lot. I'm sorry.
No. It's good because
that was really good.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's really you were so well rounded there. It's hard to add on to it. The only thing I could really say with the Bungie thing is I think they handle gunplay well. I admittedly haven't played enough Destiny 2 lately to comment on it, but what I've played felt really good. But outside of that, for me, my trust in Bungie sort of waned when you see the updates wiping past progress and all that stuff. So it's at least tough for me. I get why people buy into it though. And so I think right now so many other studios under Microsoft are handling different IP, their own ideas, to try to hand off Halo to someone else. Even if Halo Infinite bombs, I still think 343 is going to hold that IP, just because who else is going to do it? And what do you do with that company if you move them off of Halo? What does 343 do now? That's kind of my major question. You turn them into a whole support studio because they have a ton of employees. It wouldn't make sense to me. So I think they understand what is happening with Halo Infinite and how much it means, because their response has been right so far. I think it wasn't a good showing. I liked what I saw gameplay wise, but when I say good showing, I mean obviously once again, like Chris said, like the lighting, the tech stuff. It didn't debut as well. But I feel like they have a pretty good understanding of what they need to get right. And I think they've heard the criticisms loud and clear. And so I'm actually very excited for Halo Infinite. Maybe that's a bit foolish given just how things have rolled out and their past catalog. I was not a fan of Halo 5, but I got to say, personally, I trust them to do at least a decent job on this. And I'm more so talking from a single-player perspective. With multiplayer, I mean, that's a crapshoot. I don't know. I really don't know.
Halo 5 single player was atrocious. Story wise, especially, it was not good. But I don't think 343 has made a bad game really. Like Halo 4 was like, I have major issues with it, story wise and multiplayer wise. But ultimately, like, I can't really argue that it's not like at least a good game. Halo 5, I think, is a really, really good FPS. Honestly, like from a design standpoint, that is a really solid shooter. So at the very least, Halo Infinite's going to be good. I think I can, and especially with Joe Staten coming back, and with this extra year of development time under his leadership, I'm pretty, I'm optimistic, if a little cautious, but I all I can do is really hope that it's good at the very least.
Right
at this point.
What about you, Karak? Anything to add on about 343 and their handling of Halo?
I was looking at companies a couple days ago, because my firm belief is that we should treat like game devs a little bit like NFL coaches. Like one season and you can't succeed, you're out. Just fucking go. I'm just joking. I don't believe that. That would be stupid. Extinction was made by Iron Galaxy. I mean, might as well give Iron Galaxy the fucking game. Like, I don't get this shit about removing games from people right away. It just doesn't make any sense to me. We haven't even seen the game. They were stupid. They showed it to us. I don't believe that we should be telling them what was wrong. Somebody there, whoever was there, let that game be shown on a show floor. And if it was me, I would have been embarrassed. I would have been like, how dare we show this fucking game? Somebody dared. And internally, who knows how that goes? Phil Spencer dared.
I was gonna say,
Phil, and
Phil.
I'm a pretty big fan of Phil.
Yeah.
But I also think that that was a jackass move. Like he let that be showed, and that was their prime game. But I got to tell people who are Xbox fans or Sony fans, if a good game comes out yesterday and they announce the sequel today, do not expect the sequel to be a good game. that makes absolutely no fucking sense. I've seen Superman 3. Superman 2 was awesome. Superman 3 was fucking terrible. It doesn't mean anything. People change, people come, people go. They hired, what's his name back, which is great. But that team at 343 isn't the Bungie team.
No.
And we'll probably never see what we want from Halo ever again, because I grew up on the old Halo, which was light and airy, more about the AI. Yeah. More about, and even Microsoft went a different way. If you guys watch, look at how they went with things. They couldn't get rid of Forza. They had to do Forza Horizon. Microsoft likes to play both sides. So you've got Gears as well, which is your heavy, your fucking motorbike muffler for a rifle. All this weird, heavy, artistic, gothic kind of traditions, almost Warhammer 40,000. But they kept Halo, and they keep trying. But if you watch how Halo goes, they're trying to always inject a little bit of Gears into Halo. Why? Like a little grittier. A little this, a little change here and there. Look at the enemies in 4. Though I actually did not have an issue with 4 as much as most people. 5 with the Didac, I didn't even understand what the fuck was going on in the story in 5. Unless you read the books, you probably wouldn't. Yeah. I just think, just wait it out and don't. I mean, I know it's shitty to say, but I would say don't expect anything. Therefore, if it's good, great. But the Halo that you played and that you were really happy with, it doesn't change that. Those are still good.
Yeah, you're not going to get another 2007's never going to happen again.
Yeah, ever.
You're never going to have Halo 3 again. And that was such a monumental.
Which is the best Halo, by the way.
It is. And it's I think almost objectively. I think even just the timing of it, it came out right at the perfect time.
The way it ran, the fucking systems inside of it.
Yeah, social media wasn't really a thing, so it had a chance to be its own social media, and it's it was before the boom of content creation. So it was and it gave birth to the machinima and all these. It was the apex of it was the beginning of modern internet, and it came out at just the right time. And no matter how good Halo Infinite is, it's never going to feel that monumental. So at the very least, I just hope it's a fun game to play. I hope that when I put it down, I can be that was fun, and I hope that it'll entice me to come back for the multiplayer. I'm a little concerned about the lack of a beta, because I think by this time in
you normally see it.
You normally see Halo 5, and we're spending a long time on Halo. I apologize, but
no, dude, go for it.
Halo 5 came out in October of 2015. We played the beta in December of 2014. This game's coming out presumably November of this year. It's now January. We still haven't heard anything. We still haven't seen any multiplayer. A little concerning. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, because I think they're between a rock and a hard place where when they have to time a re-reveal, make it make sense at the same time as doing a beta, but giving time for that beta feedback to actually impact the game. So, because now they're combining a PR move with actual feedback.
I know, but it's you were going to launch this game 3 months ago, and you can't put out a multiplayer beta. Your multiplayer's not finished enough to put, come on. I don't know. It's. Yeah. I'm excited for it, but also, come on.
I'm excited to see. I think this game stands a chance to reignite Halo love for a lot of people, just because it's free to play multiplayer.
Oh yeah, no. I think it's going to do well regardless, to be honest. But we'll see.
Yeah, if Cyberpunk can do well, I could sell you a polished turd and probably be a millionaire. So.
Next comes from Traylon. Hey gang, with all of this Gears of War talk, on a recent episode of your fellow Last Stand podcasters podcast, the Snark Tank.
Hey, look at that. It's me.
They discussed, what would you fear more? An invasion from the Covenant from Halo or the Locust from Gears of War? What would your guys' answer be? Keep up the good work. So,
Covenant.
Chris, whoa. I was going to ask Chris, how did this question even come to be?
I forget. It's a conversational podcast, so I forget how the hell it even happened. But we got onto this. I think it might have been a user submitted question. But I said the Locust because the Covenant are just going to destroy us, or maybe they'll land and we'll get to maybe use some cool alien weapons. But I can't defend against something coming out of the ground. I have no chance, and there's no society with which to the whole thing in the Covenant is people defect from it. It's an organization where people can leave it, and people the Arbiter and his the elites joined with the humans in 3, and it's like there's at least some reasoning with some of them.
I was gonna say, yeah,
but
that's why I would
but
pick
like
Locust.
the Locusts just sort of come out and they're just mole people, and they got like no personality at all. Like there's no like please stop. It's just
and then
just
they get like
I
poisoned.
also
and
think
they
it's just
start
a little
blowing up.
Yeah, I also think it's just a little scarier. Just the I feel like if I saw an elite land in front of me, I'd be like, oh, I'm dead, but this is fucking cool. Like, whoa, that's
Please
such a cool
shoot me.
thing. Like my chest has like a completely see-through hole in it, and I'm like, it's melted through me, and I'm like, whoa, this is so sick. But like a mole person coming out of the ground is just gonna like eat my face off real quick, and like I'm not even gonna have time to even acknowledge what the hell's happening. I don't know.
Did I hear you say the Covenant would be?
Well, yeah, I
the
mean,
scarier of the
I can
two?
get in a fucking biplane and beat the Locust.
I think you're underestimating the Locust, my guy.
I don't know. They haven't shown anything in the games, but I haven't read the books, so maybe there's something amazing.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Covenant would fucking, they fly around. They're in space. They'd fucking destroy everybody. If we're talking about fear of dying, if we're just talking about momentary
I think
fear as you shit yourself, then sure, a Locust would be scary.
I think we're I think in both scenarios you're fucked. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think
We're
you're coming
losing either way.
I don't think you're coming out of that either situation particularly well off. But you know, I would at least. I think also just I'm a Halo nerd, so I would just. I feel like I just have a bit of understanding.
Want a pet grunt?
Yeah, I want a pet grunt, like a little. Those things can punch you across this football field, apparently. But
Really?
yeah, they're really strong.
All right. Last question before we get into the news. Gavin Alexander writes in, "Hey, Marvelous, Matty, and Karak. I've been thinking about Halo a lot lately. Chris, as you can see, I've really tailored these questions to you, my friend.
Yeah, you really have.
And I like your thoughts on where the series can go after Infinite. Do you think we could see more Halo spin-offs in the vein of Halo 3 ODST or Halo Reach? If so, what type of Halo spin-off game would you like to see? I personally would love to see a true survival horror game set within the Halo universe. The Halo IP has a ton of potential to create a truly horrifying experience if done correctly, but this is just what immediately comes to mind for me. What ideas do you guys have for Halo? Thank you both for what you do." Thank you, Gavin. Chris, you nodded your head assuredly at a true survival horror game set in the Halo universe.
That has always been my desire. Like I want Alien Isolation on a ship with the Flood. Like I want that. Like I think that would be so sick. Like the fact that hasn't happened yet, I think is a travesty. Because I think that's not only would that be, I feel like, cheap to make, but also just like I feel like that could have had, especially back in like 2015 YouTube, that could have had the chance to really like explode into something that people would have watched a lot. But even still, I think the Flood is fucking horrifying, and I think you know, any kind of leveraging of that would be really wise. Even now, after that kind of, you know, Outlast 2 kind of meme has kind of come and passed. But
yeah, I agree, because you know, if you go back and play Combat Evolved, where you first meet the Flood, I forget the exact name of the mission, but that shit is horrifying. Like
343 Guilty Spark.
Yes,
it's scary, man. It's they're fucking horrifying, and they only get more horrifying as they expand on it. It's like, this is so sick for a horror game.
Yeah,
but even without that, like I think a tactics game would work pretty well. I really enjoyed Gears Tactics, and I didn't think I would.
That was gonna be my pick, because Halo Wars 2, I enjoyed that more than Halo 4 or 5, and I think just the you know, the strategy approach to Halo works really well, and I think it kind of brings to life some of the conflicts they just talk about. And I think like a tactics game, sort of like Gears Tactics, just called Halo Tactics, would work extremely well. You know, squad-based XCOM style gameplay in the Halo universe. I think the XCOM formula is just highly underutilized.
Same.
It went through like a quick burst where there was a lot of XCOM games and they just went. And I think like Halo is open for that, because we've seen them do like twin stick shooters with Spartan Assault. Of course, like I just mentioned, we had the RTS, we have the first-person shooters. Sometimes it goes third-person for certain weapons, and I don't think that would really change too much, and I think you collide with Gears there. So I feel like, you know, you're not going to do like a Dynasty Warrior-style Halo game, so, you know, unless you got the Arbiter running around slashing like 80 Marines with an energy sword. So I just think like the obvious choice is a tactics. If anything, just for formula and familiarity, like, you know, oh, this is what Gears did, and this worked really well. Let's do it with Halo. That would personally be my pick, but I really like the idea of true survival horror because you could even like a Dead Space approach to the Flood would be awesome.
Yeah.
As well. I would dig that. Karak, what would you want to do spin-off wise for Halo in its future?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the best answer. Other genres are just, I mean, what are you going to do, a football game? Like, there's only a couple genres you can
Blood
actually
Bowl,
do.
the Halo expansion.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, point and click, Thimbleweed Park with Halo. Like, none of that really makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, when you guys were originally talking about survival horror, I was thinking Rust and stuff, and I was about to lose it. I don't think I can handle one more game where I make a fucking spear. I just don't think it's possible. But a game like Alien Isolation with the Flood makes sense, because the Flood are probably the better part of... Well, I think the Flood are cool because of the Covenant, and the Covenant are cool because of the Flood, especially because the Flood take over the Covenant. There's a very cool adjustment of tactics that occurs, especially in Halo, depending on who you face and stuff. So a horror game would definitely be... Yeah, that would probably be the only real one. I don't want to see any other shooters, I'm going to be honest. I've not been a fan of Reach. Was not a fan of ODST, like a lot of people other were, probably because the gritty moments of those, again, reflects a little bit more of the Gears sensibility. And I love that Halo light on your feet, fucking airy, something about the way everything feels. And I never got that feeling from those two games.
I getcha.
So I would probably skip out on those. But yeah, I would agree with you guys. I think a survival horror is probably your best way to go. It'd be very cool to like see... Well, no, you can't do it slow. But yeah, it would be very cool to see the Flood taking over a space station or something like that, and you're trying to get out. The problem is you want to make sure it wouldn't overlap with Alien Isolation. So you would would be some stuff you needed to do.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a space there. There's not enough outside of Resident Evil, really, just enough survival horror, and especially in like popular IP.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully they're listening and they take our ideas. With that,
I'm sure they are.
Let's get into the news. We got, I think, 9 objects here on the list to go over. Yes, indeed, 9. So let's get it started with number 1. With 2021 pretty much being a blank slate past April, Xbox went out of their way to confirm 29 Xbox exclusive games coming in this year. This news arrives via Xbox Wire, where the post also states, quote, "We have so much more in store, both from our talented partners and creative teams at Microsoft," end quote. So do keep in mind this list stands to grow or shrink depending on delays as well as announcements. The following games are launching as console exclusives on Series X/S as well as Xbox One. Adios, The Artful Escape, The Ascent, The Big Con, Crossfire X, Dead Static Drive, Echo Generation, Exo Mecha, Exo 1, a lot of Exos here, The Gunk, one of the worst names.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Just canceled the game. Halo Infinite.
Wow.
The Last Stop. I'm kidding. The Lake, Little Witch in the Woods, The Medium, Microsoft Flight Simulator, Psychonauts 2. They said it's coming day one Game Pass. Not really exclusive. It is going to be on PlayStation, PC, all that stuff, but they threw it in here anyway. RPG Time. This game looks awesome. Sable, Scorn, She Dreams Elsewhere. I was actually researching what's the name of the little game engine that you can buy, RPG Maker, and She Dreams Elsewhere was made with that. So that's pretty cool.
Very
Shredders, Song of Iron, Tunic, 12 Minutes, Unexplored 2, The Wayfarer's Legacy, Warhammer 40k Dark Tide, Way to the Woods, The Wild at Heart. So, a lot of games, all exclusive, a lot happening here. More to be announced. I imagine that my guess would be on Starfield personally, but out of what we know here, and we can talk about what's upcoming afterwards, did anything on this list, outside of Halo, because we did just talk about it a lot,
Yeah, we don't have to.
pop out to you and say like, ooh, that's one I'm looking forward to?
I struggle.
Yeah,
I got to be real. I struggle to, like, this seems like a quantity over quality kind of deal, where like I'm not really sure even which one of these are their main focus. Like, you look over on the PlayStation side, and they got a couple of exclusives every year, but like it's usually like a couple big ones, like 2 or 3 big ones that like a lot of focus has gone onto, and this seems a bit scattershot to me. And I've seen some of these, and they do look cool. Like, I think Tunic looks great. I think the art style of Tunic looks great, particularly Scorn from a stylistic perspective looks really cool. Obviously, Psychonauts is exciting to me, but I don't know. I'm sure I wouldn't even be surprised if most of these are good, but like I've seen so little I've seen them focus so little on any of these.
Yeah.
Even Halo, they've barely even, you know what I mean? So like, it's hard to get excited when you don't even feel like they're excited. They're just sort of being like, hey, here's a list. This almost looks like patch notes.
Yeah. The patch notes of 2021. I gotta say, there was a couple on here that the thing is that they demand further research, and I know that sounds ridiculous, but there's no hype driver here, and that's what Xbox needs at the end of the day. Like, these are all, if you watch most of the trailers for these games or read the write-ups on the Xbox Wire, a lot of these games do look good. Like, they look unique. They fill a hole somewhere. They're going to add value to Game Pass inherently, and that's all good. But, like, one of the games I'm most interested in on this list is called The Ascent. It's like a twin-stick shooter action RPG.
Yeah. That
looks really good. Lots of verticality. It looks awesome, but no one's talking about it, and that's just like, because it's, we're here on the core level talking about these games, but on the bigger level, all you've got here is really Halo Infinite. Like, maybe I'm being ignorant on this one, but I don't know if you could even throw Psychonauts 2 in there as something that's gonna be a major driver. Like, I think people are gonna talk about it. Yeah, and I'm excited for it. But. Yeah,
no, Psychonauts 2 is gonna be on everything, so it's definitely not gonna be a driver. And Microsoft Flight Simulator is already out, kind of. So yeah, I don't know, like. It's really weird. I feel like they're just sort of they had a hype machine too with Halo, but then obviously like the reveal and the delay, they just kind of squandered their own hype drive, I think. And that's a real shame, because I thought like what they were building was pretty cool. Like, everything I had seen up until the reveal was pretty good, like the engine reveal was kind of like whatever. It's like there's a couple more years left before it comes out, but it's like, oh, it made some interesting hints at like, oh, open world, okay, cool, like wildlife, okay, cool, and then like the trailer with the opening cinematic with the Marine, and it's like, oh, it's a Marine with an accent again. And it's like, oh, sick, I love this. Oh, his armor's back to normal, thank God.
I get that.
It was all good, and then they just completely squandered it, and I feel like they were really betting on that being like the main hype drive. And now it just sort of feels like there's no wind in those sails. At least not until that picks up again.
Yeah, but that's why I don't want to keep beating the Starfield drum. I have for like 3 episodes now, but I just genuinely think they want that out this year, because Halo is going to bring that attention, but there are games on this list, like I think RPG Time looks cool. It's like a hand-drawn kind of like a student in class is literally drawing in their notebook, and it plays as an RPG.
12 minutes looks cool too.
Yeah, I was going to say 12 minutes looks awesome. Warhammer 40K Dark Tide is kind of like a Left 4 Dead with guns and melee. So that looks good. There are some good-looking games here, and that's not even scratching the surface. It's just, that's why I really think you're going to see Starfield end up on this list, because if you got that and Halo, kind of like what Chris was saying, you see PlayStation with the 1, 2, or 3 big exclusives, and I think Xbox has to understand that these are good surrounding core pieces to something that needs like a foundation to sit on, pretty much, and that foundation could be Halo Infinite and Starfield, in my opinion. Characters, anything on this list pop out to you where you're like, this is major, or are we grabbing?
No, but I'm
here?
wondering what you guys are talking about for PlayStation. What 3 games are coming out this year?
Oh no, I mean I'm talking more just like of a general strategy, like of the past couple of years. Like I think just like they usually go like, okay, God of War, Spider-Man, fucking I don't know, some other game that was really beloved that I didn't really care for. They usually have like these big tentpole releases like kind of spread throughout the year. And as I look at this, I see Halo Infinite as the fall, but I don't see any one of these could be spring, or summer. Whereas like, what is it? 2021 has presumably God of War, and presumably Ratchet and Clank, and one other, and Horizon. So those are the 3 for 2021. Now I'm not particularly interested in Horizon personally, but Ratchet and Clank looks cool, and like God of War I really liked, and those have hype behind them. But so far over here, it's like it's just Halo Infinite, and it's like
you even look at last year, right? They did Miles Morales and Demon's Souls remake. And that was it was a weaker year.
What I was saying was, I just hope Microsoft isn't listening to us and taking our plans. They need to do whatever they're doing behind the scenes. Phil Spencer's already said he's no longer going to show stuff early. I think that's the best bet. They already got burned again by Halo. And even after they had stated they were going to do that. So I would rather not know what they have planned. We do know Forza. We do know Fable. Those will be out. But to me, I don't at all. I mean, I get why people would care, but I think we're in a post-COVID world where things are completely weird now. And if somebody's spending $500-$600 to play Miles Morales, which is already available on the other system, that's their loss. That has nothing to do with like a normal gamer who's trying to figure out how to pay their fucking electric bill and isn't working. So I think Microsoft's plan is value, which is Game Pass.
Right.
That is what they're going to foot the bill on. And the people that I've talked to in certain companies are like, if you're expecting Microsoft to come out and be like, Magic, we have She-Hulk or something, they just don't give a shit what Sony's doing. They legitimately don't care. They're going to do Samsung TVs. They're going to put their streaming apps out. I think fans think 1-2 punches like two boxers. Microsoft is literally in a UFC and Sony's in a boxing ring. They're not even, and I was the first one to say when Microsoft said that they were full of shit. Like I was originally saying that, but especially now talking to people and looking at how they're doing it, I would say they don't plan on Bethesda paying off for 3, 4, 10 years down the road. And that's because Microsoft can spend that without blinking.
Yeah.
That is, the amount of money they can spend is awe-inspiring. They're getting paid for monthly by people paying for the monthly internet, that kind of stuff. I know people think that'll go away, but I'm going to tell you right now, companies don't just magically say, here's Game Pass for $1 for years, and then also cut or undercut a huge amount of money that they're making, unless they feel that there's something they can get from it. We didn't see anything this Christmas, which I think if you had seen some amazing deal this Christmas, that would indicate that their plans were to dominate. And in no way, shape, or form has Microsoft done anything to make me think that they're like, we got this IP. They're going to stick with what they can stick with. Also, the sad fact is, guys, Xbox fans never put their money where their mouth is. They don't. They'll say, look at Ori. If Ori was Sony, people would be filleting Sony for fucking 6 years. They just, they just the entire time. But they're not, because it's Microsoft. Look at Nintendo. Barely anything's being offered. Same thing. So to me, I think their value is you can do a purchase plan, which has no interest. That's unheard of. You can do Game Pass. I just don't want anybody listening to think that there's some, unless there's something hidden I haven't heard of, and you guys, I don't know, maybe you guys have heard something, but like something that's ready to be announced this year that's like going to surprise us. Sony nor Microsoft have anything this year. There is nothing. And that's because they prepped for 2 years ago, then last year, and now we're here. And they can't even get their systems sold. They can't even get their systems in the United States right now. And I just don't think Microsoft wants to say, here's an amazing game, but we can only sell it to the 2.4 million people who have Xboxes. They would rather wait. In fact, there has been a couple companies that there's one huge one. I'm surprised we haven't seen the alert, because there's been multiple people telling me it's being delayed because the amount of purchasers of PS5 and Xbox is not high enough for them to say,
I was going to say,
that's who we want to go with yet. And even though it's doing well.
With the stagnation of console sales, I wonder how great some of these
games are going to turn out. I don't know if it's stagnated.
I'm
I'm just saying the purchase into the new is not nearly as big as the old. So
like by
that's why
number,
Cyberpunk sold to... Well, Cyberpunk, they would have loved, I'm sure, to say, let's just sell to Xbox X, Series X, sorry,
but there's not
and PS5. But there's not enough
install base,
Yeah, so imagine selling 50% to PS5 owners. That is nothing compared to 5 or 2% of PS4 owners. The percentage is huge. And I think that they can't get them out right now. Dude, didn't Phil Spencer say he was on the phone? Like, I think Phil Spencer did an interview, and he was like, prior to this interview, I was on the phone with AMD begging them for chips. Like, that indicates there's a huge issue. And we know that from scalpers. We know it from everything else.
You're right. I don't necessarily think that they need to follow Sony's model. I do think, though, that it just kind of benefits them to have something that is theirs that they can kind of build some form of hype to. It doesn't even have to be something that's like like God of War like level hype shit, but like I think they kind of did that with Indiana Jones a little bit, because I think that's clearly, like, in my opinion, that strikes me as that's something that's going to be like exclusive in at least in the ecosystem. And that was a good call, I think, but
that was a good call.
But
I would
now,
agree with the exclusivity. I just don't know. I just feel like Xbox fans just don't have the fervor Sony fans do, and Microsoft has finally, smartly realized that. That's what I personally feel. Except for Halo, you've got your tentpoles, but how does Microsoft, dude? Cuphead, come on. If anybody else had made that, there'd be cartoons and shit. There'd be fucking animes. There'd be fucking people dressed like that at cons prior to the COVID. There was nothing. And how many times do you guys remember having a conversation? Sorry, I'm getting mad now. But how many? This is because I hate when fans bitch and then they don't support something. It's like, dude. But like when you look at something like a Cuphead or something like that, how many times did you guys hear somebody be like, "Oh, it's just on the Xbox"? And then the moment it comes out on Switch, people are like, "Ah, Cuphead. Looks amazing." And you're just like, oh, seriously.
Yeah. It is infuriating. It happens the other way too. It happens the other way.
Uphill battle.
It happens the other way too, because I remember on Sacred Symbols, I shit all over Days Gone, because I was like, I remember I made the point. I made the point. I was like, if this was an Xbox game, no one would care about it. Like,
it's so true.
I made that point on the podcast.
Accurate.
And I got shit on for it, but I'm like, hey man, I'm being real. Like it's it is a shame, because like there's a lot of games right now that people do. Like Sea of Thieves, I think is fucking great, dude. Like
I just started playing that again. It's
now that's
right. But yeah, I agree with you.
But Sea of Thieves also launched in early access. In fact, it wasn't like a Cyberpunk.
That is true.
It wasn't like a Cyberpunk early access where they just put the game out. But
that is true.
No, it's like Sea of Thieves is great. I actually like had a good time with Grounded. Also, like there's a lot of like really like pretty good games, honestly, that are out on the Xbox ecosystem that nobody talks about. Yeah. And it's a fucking shame, honestly.
That's why they need those exclusives, because I think that
Gears Tactics was incredible, and you never hear that mentioned unless it's us.
Oh god, yeah.
I was playing on Twitch the other day, and somebody was like, "They made a Gears game."
Dude,
they made a tactics-based Gears game. I'm like,
here we go. Yeah, exactly. I don't know, man. Maybe if the Halo movie had worked out, or the TV show, maybe Lord of the Rings, if they teamed with Amazon, which wouldn't happen now due to the streaming competition. Yeah. But I would love if they were like, yeah, Amazon's making a TV show and we're making, or like Witcher. I was telling Matty on the ham radio that I firmly believe there's a tentpole game that'll come out where it's sort of like the old water cooler games, where the TV show, the movie, the game are all at the same time. And a person who talks about Walking Dead used to be able to talk about the Walking Dead game with somebody, but somebody had seen the show, so they at least know what the Walking Dead is. And we don't see those a lot of times, but we see a lot of TV shows. And The Boys, for instance, it's like it was a missed opportunity. And I get that games can't turn around as quickly as a TV show, but I feel that there's something that Microsoft might be able to do in that space, like a combined IP where they figure out a way to say, this is coming out. What'd you say?
Quantum Break.
They tried, yeah.
Where they could say, this is coming out. I'm
just gonna ignore
that. You can cut that. This is coming out, and this is, and admittedly, I liked Quantum Break more than a lot of people. So
I liked it too. But I didn't think it wasn't great, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I finished it, and I was like, I'm kind of glad I played this.
Yeah. I just love going Jack Joyce. I forgot Littlefinger. He always said it like that.
Oh,
Jack
Littlefinger?
Joyce?
Yeah.
He always did that.
God, that show had a lot of... Lance Riddick was in that, one of my favorite actors of all time. Fucking crazy filled with people in that show. Again, that just... There's something... Microsoft will always be remembered as corporate. They always will. People will be like, Sony's saving babies from floods. It's like, no, they're not. No, they'll put you under their boot just like anybody else, but... It doesn't really matter. I think, in fact, I would have liked Microsoft to have bought Alan Wake guys.
Remedy.
Yeah, Remedy.
Yeah, I just think that would have worked at the time, and unfortunately that soured and then got better and then soured. I don't know where that relationship is, but must be good enough because they're doing Cross X or whatever.
That brings us perfectly into number 2. Microsoft did some holiday shopping with the purchase of ZeniMax last September, according to Brad Sams, the journalist who leaked the Xbox Series S along with its price. it appears that Microsoft and others are on the hunt for more. Here's what Brad had to say. I've been hearing a lot of conversations behind closed doors about acquisitions in the industry. There's a lot of moving things right now. It's hard to see which companies are going to get snatched up and by what vendors, but I can tell you there are some big industry names out there being approached by Microsoft included, but then you also have Amazon and you also have Google. Sony is a part of the conversation, but it doesn't seem to be as much as Google and Amazon are when Microsoft enters the fold. You also have EA. Look at what happened with Codemasters, for example. And EA did pay a pretty penny for Codemasters. They
went right over the top.
Yeah.
They dunked on them.
Yeah. So we see that Microsoft, for the show's conversation, we can talk about them doing some shopping, but it seems like Amazon or Google has the potential to come in and, I mean, the idea of them owning any, like, Warner Bros. Or something like that, oh, God.
Yeah.
Sends shiver down my spine. So let's talk about Microsoft. I mean, the most commonly linked company to Microsoft for a while has been Sega. And I think it's just because of their interactions. We see the Yakuza franchise entirely on Game Pass. We'll talk about that in our next news segment, some of the significant additions there. You know, they made a joke about Persona on their Game Pass account, and fans started to freak out. They were like, oh my God, is it coming to Xbox? Which, bit of a stretch there. But I think that's the most commonly linked one. You have to imagine, based off this report, that is something that probably happened, Microsoft approaching Sega about some type of acquisition. You know, obviously for the sake of speculation, because we don't have much else to go off of, is there a company in your guys' heads that you would want to see Microsoft take a run for? EA and Amazon, hopefully they just, fall off the planet when it comes to gaming, but Microsoft, what would you hope to see from them?
I would, so remember how Big Ben came and they took a bunch of the titles, they worked with Focus Home, and they took the titles under Big, which they changed their name to NextCon, I believe, is what they're called now. But I would like to see Sega look at some of those kind of B-tier, Vampire creators, those kind, because I think that when you look at Sega really is the old dude showing up at the boxing match, but he needs to just leave. Like Sega, I love Sega. There's a couple IPs they have. I love Virtual Fighter, favorite game of all time, bar none. I don't think it, I would love for it to be something, but it doesn't look like Sega knows how to do it. They've already sold multiple holdings. They're in Pachinko or whatever that Japanese game is. That's like some of their major holdings. Yakuza is great. However, I'm questioning where that IP is, exactly how that IP and what deals there might be. Yakuza always seems like almost like Sony, even though Microsoft has now got all the shit on Game Pass. There's something about Yakuza that's always felt a little like Sony to me. Like they have a behind the scenes maybe understanding. But I would love to see just the B tiers. I mean, I don't even have a name. Piranha. Oh, yeah, Piranha Bytes. So Piranha Bytes cannot QA a game for their fucking life. Those guys, their QA has to be an Atari 2600. It can't be a person. They're terrible. But their games, the ideas behind them are awesome. So like the idea that Microsoft... Huh?
Did they do Elix?
Yeah, which I know nobody likes but me, even though it's not a great game. Any game with a jetpack, admittedly, I probably like. But it's
did you
those
like,
kind of games.
Did you like Dark Void?
No, no, I didn't. And I also didn't like Raven's Cry, which I believe they made. Maybe they made. Anyway, Two Worlds. Like, there's a couple companies.
They did Two Worlds?
No, I'm saying if they did or didn't, they're in that same group of these Euro jank companies that have no QA. They're like got one guy they hire and give him like a hot dog, and they're like, play the game for 5 minutes. We're good. Admittedly, Microsoft is accepting a lot of buggy developers, Obsidian, Bethesda, and I love Bard's Tale and I love Wasteland, but that game did not showcase Microsoft's ability to QA. Just so people know, Microsoft has an entire development building around QA. They've got an actual development building around QA, and they still couldn't get Wasteland 3 like co-op to work for 80% of the people playing it. But admittedly, I still want them to do it. Those are the companies, the B companies. I would love to see Microsoft give Piranha Bytes some money and say, go make Gothic 4 and see what happens.
What about you, Chris? You have one that comes to mind?
A studio in general?
Yeah, just dream pick.
Oh, man. I don't know if I have any dream picks, but I do think something that is weirdly rhyming with a particular purchase from the late 90s that they made. I think it would be wild if they just made a bid for CD Projekt, given their current financial shit. Like, because this is exactly what happened with Bungie. Bungie was in like dire straits in like the 90s because they released like Myth 2 or whatever, and it crashed. Like,
I liked Myth 2 too.
I can't remember if it was Myth 2, Soulblighter, or the first Myth, but like one of those games
Probably Soulblighter.
Soulblighter had a bug that destroyed
Your
people's
C
computers
drive.
if you deleted the game. It deleted your C drive. So they had like they had to do like millions of dollars in recalls and like repackaging and refunds, and it fucked the company up so bad that they were open to being purchased by Microsoft. And it's like quite literally the reason why Halo exists on the Xbox. So, I mean, based on what I'm seeing, I don't think CD Projekt is in anywhere near as much trouble. But, I mean, I'm sure they're probably in a situation where they're probably like, oh, man, this is not a great situation. And the idea of like Microsoft coming in and like, hey, just so you know, we have all of the money.
They'll just sell one game on 50% on GOG and get all their money back. I think that's one of the differences is that they have GOG and they're making
That's true.
Do you guys remember the advertisement? Buy buy Cyberpunk on GOG because we get 100%.
Yeah.
It's like, what? 100% of what? All the bugs? Fuck you. Like I would have rather bought that from G2A or whatever that shitty ass company was.
Yeah, I remember talking about that last week. I remember seeing it on their website. I'm like, wow, they still have an advertisement that
they still have it. Yeah,
it's like 100% of the funds go to CD Projekt.
No, you're right.
Group.
They're fine.
Like, wow.
I think honestly, Bluepoint is something that is really highly. That's definitely like a studio that Sony's definitely gonna bag at some point. But man, like that's a studio that anybody would be lucky to own because they just like knock it out of the park with everything they do. Like the only work they've done with Xbox is porting the Metal Gear games, which are exceptional ports. I was just playing the collection on Vita or whatever, and it's like this. Man, they did such a good job.
You mean they ported the old ones, or did they also like work with Phantom Pain and make it?
I don't think they worked with Phantom Pain.
The older.
They ported MGS 2 and 3 to 360, which is funny because you can't play Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 on PlayStation consoles that aren't the PS Vita. It's stranded on PS3, but you can play it on Xbox One, Xbox Series
weird.
X. It's
weird.
Really weird, but you know,
big W there.
Big W. Those are great games.
All right, let's move on
that'd
to
be a
number.
good title.
Oh,
Maddie, you never said yours.
Sega, because sorry,
okay,
I thought that
maybe
was
you did.
Yeah, just
maybe you did.
because Persona, Catherine, Yakuza.
I thought Persona's Atlas.
Yeah, but Atlas, their games are published by Sega, and so I think Sega.
Do they own them?
I don't think Atlas is owned. I think they're, you know how it is, like where you just go with the same publisher you've always gone with. I don't think Atlas would be purchased.
Well, that changes everything. But Sonic on Xbox.
Screw Sega then. Just buy Atlas. I mean, right?
Right?
There you go. There you go. I mean, buy Atlas.
Yeah, I was gonna say buy Atlas because they make amazing games.
There you go. I could see. You know what? That might even be the smarter purchase, right? Don't get the overhead of Sega. Go in there and find out if there are any deals with some of these smaller companies that they publish, and then be like, "Hey, dude, let's
Atlas
jump on Atlas."
Is a subsidiary of Sega.
Oh, okay. Well, then it is.
Okay.
Then
Yeah,
it is.
there
I
you
was
go.
not
Buy
aware of that.
Sega. Buy Sega. I knew it. All right. Number 3, Xbox Game Pass is seeing significant additions and subtractions this month, but if you ask us, the good outweighs the bad. On February 1st, Game Pass is losing Indivisible, Sea Salt, Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition, Grease, and Fishing Sim World Pro Tour.
Nothing of worth was well, Fishing Sim World I'm a big fan of, but nothing really of worth was lost, people.
Final Fantasy 15 to me stood as the most noteworthy loss here, not just because of the game itself, but because back at the end of 2019, Xbox had promised all Final Fantasy games would make its way to Game Pass, and so for them to lose the most recent entry, I think is a bit of an eyebrow raiser. But now for the good. The following games will arrive on January 21st. Control on PC Game Pass. Desperados 3 will arrive on Android console and PC. Donut County as well on those very platforms.
Really? Donut County's coming? People?
Yeah.
Fucking goddamn play Donut County. That's awesome. I did not know that was coming. Very cool.
I've never
Continue.
played it.
Sorry. Oh, man. It's
Outer
off the
Worlds,
hook.
or not Outer Worlds, Outer Wilds. I'm going to mess that up a lot, man.
Another great game.
Yeah, that drops on Android/Cloud. On January 26th, Cyber Shadow will be a day one Game Pass release. coming to Android, console, and PC. This is an 8-bit side-scrolling action game developed by Mechanical Head Studio, and it's published by Yacht Club Games, who's best known for the Shovel Knight franchise. On January 28th, the game that we've talked about a lot on this show, Microsoft's exclusive horror game, The Medium, will arrive on Series X, S, and PC via Game Pass. The content doesn't stop there, as Yakuza 3, 4, and 5 remastered will arrive on Android, console, and PC Game Pass on January 28th. So what's crazy about this is I think back in December, they talked about Control and Doom. Those are kind of their significant ones. And now they've just added all the Yakuza games.
Yeah.
They just added Desperados 3.
Oh, so good, too.
Cyber Shadow, I'm actually very excited for because I love what Yacht Club Games does. And for them to publish a game is kind of cool because this game reminds me a lot of The Messenger, which was a hilarious side-scrolling game. I adore that game.
So good.
Let's go. Someone gets it. I love that game. And then, of course, we talked about The Medium being there. I mean, there's so much value here. Like, are we at the point we can just say this is objectively a great deal? Because I posted about it on my Twitter account. You know, I got a couple people like, it's okay. What? Like, this is just in 1 month. Look how, like, you could spend all your hours playing these and you still wouldn't be done with these games.
Dude, I had somebody tell me with a straight fucking face. Now, this person, by the way, should never breed. But they said out loud that the reason why they don't get Game Pass is because they have all the games. And I was like, you have every game. Yeah. On Game Pass. Yeah. Available right now. Yeah. On the console version. Yeah. So we went through, and within by the third fucking title, they didn't have it. And I'm like, I hear that all the time. People will just be like, yeah, Game Pass, you know, hey, I got all the games. There's no real reason. I don't know why I'm suddenly an Italian mafia.
But you don't.
You don't.
I'm telling you, you don't.
You don't. And
I thought I did.
The deal is crazy, and it's good objectively. If you subjectively don't like it, that's you. That makes sense. Like, you know, every single game there you hate, whatever. Yeah. That would be weird. But objectively, that is a good deal and has been pretty much since they ever started because the amount is insane.
Yeah.
Like for your $15 or $1 when we started.
It's an insane value, dude. Like that is I've always thought that Game Pass was just obnoxiously good. Like as a deal, like regardless, like I was just like, this is because I've just played so many games that I definitely wouldn't have given the time of day because of it, and I've actually bought more games through it. Like I think that's
I have
something
as well.
Something that people don't really think about is like, you know, it's like, oh, you just kind of get them and then they leave and it's like whatever. It's like, no, man, I've bought, like I remember I started After Party was on Game Pass and I was like playing through After Party and then I put it down for a little while and then I was like, I want to go back into After Party. I really enjoyed that. And it was off Game Pass and I was like, oh shit, all right. And I didn't even think about it. I just like went and bought it because it's just like you just find
like
so many
blockbuster that you always wanted.
Yeah, it's just like you find really cool shit like just all the stuff that I just wouldn't have even thought that I would even remotely enjoy.
It's why we have a whole section dedicated to Game Pass picks because there's always something in there. Like I said, we're lucky to get review copies, and I feel like I have a lot of the major games, and so for a while I knew Game Pass was incredible value, but I wasn't a subscriber. And in the past few months, I signed up again, and I was looking through the library, and there's been so much shit that like. You know, not to sound obnoxious, but like even I discovered, and I was thinking, holy, this is insane, man. Like you think you got it all, you don't. And you'll be surprised how much the nostalgia will pull you back in. Hopping back into Fable? Whew, hell yeah.
Not Fable 3.
No,
Fable.
not Fable 3.
No.
Let's clear something up. Matty could steer you wrong right now. I want to make sure nobody gets steered wrong by Matty and gets 3.
Wait. You're telling me you don't like Fable 3 co-op?
Oh, dude, come on, Matty. Dude, this is not Bad Takes, the podcast. What the fuck?
I'm not saying it's a good game. I'm just saying
it just had a lot of techno. It wasn't.
I like 2 though.
I
do. I enjoy it.
So good. 2 is so good.
2 is definitely good. I don't know about you guys too. Phil's, and multiple people have now come forward. I talked to the developers for Ashen, talked to the Vermintide guys, Surge, a couple different companies that have had games on Game Pass, and every single one of them has all stated that it results in more sales than their expectations if they had not done it. Which, regardless if we understand, if it's always like what Chris was saying, where maybe somebody returns, but I got to tell you guys, I've gone on there and seen that it was there and enjoyed it, and I have no issue giving money to devs. I never have.
Yeah.
If it's a free-to-play game and I like it, I'll be like, dude, I'm going to buy a fucking Wicked cloak. I'm going to buy a pimp cloak because that dude deserves 50 cents on the dollar for like, you know, giving me enjoyment. And I think a lot of people look at these games, Stellaris, for instance, which I'm a big fan of. Console version wasn't that bad. And I was like, shit, man, you know, I'd like to just sit my feet up and play this. So I bought it even though I already had it on the PC. It was just like,
I do the same thing, yeah.
It happens, man. It happens a lot, apparently.
Yeah. Number 4. Bungie pulled on the heartstrings of gamers globally when they confirmed it is removing its old Halo web pages from its website effective on February 9th, 2021. This will be a permanent move, and Bungie encouraged players to save track stats and shared files from Halo 2, 3, 3 ODST, and Reach for the aforementioned date. Josh Naylor wrote in on patreon.com/laststandmedia, like all of you can. Hey, boys, I was pretty heartbroken to hear that Bungie would be shutting down the old Halo stats website, yet shocked that they hadn't done it much sooner. Good on Bungie for telling us all way ahead of time so we can save everything before it's gone forever. Do you guys have any nostalgia for some of your old gaming stats? I personally don't, so I don't know if I actually have much to add here. You know, other than just, I mean, I don't remember saving any files or screenshots on their site. I don't know if it just automatically uploads, but for me, I just have fond memories of a ton of Halo 3 multiplayer. A ton. That was like my game for a year easily. So that's really all I can throw in there. But what about both of you? Did you guys ever make use of this site, and you have files and stats that you've reminisced on, as we know it's all going away forever?
Oh, didn't even know it existed.
Chris, you're our Halo guy.
No, I definitely did check up. It wasn't something that I was like particularly attached to. It was just something that I was like, oh, cool. They keep your stats up there, and the sad thing is that they don't have the stats that I remember they used to have. Like I remember, like I used to go on and it would tell you like your total in-game playtime, and I think in 2011 or 2010, my in-game Halo 3 playtime, time spent in matches, in multiplayer alone was like, I think, like 48 days. And
I would love to see mine. That's a stat I'd love to see.
But that's a stat that's not available. But like, I don't know. They showed that, they said that like, okay, the site's going down, and I was like, I don't really care that much, but I logged in and I like saved a screenshot just for the sake of it. Right. But it wasn't something that I cared all that much about. There were some screenshots. And it just
tracked. I'm assuming it tracked stuff that you couldn't see like in the game or what, right?
Yeah,
like weird stuff, like how many footsteps.
Like how many total kills you had, and like what was your most used weapon, and like how many of each medal you got. And I was like, oh, this is kind of neat. But you know, they stopped counting those stats stopped updating in 2012 anyway. And you know, I've played so much.
Oh, that's weird. Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
so okay. It's not even like a really accurate read of anything, and also just between the original games and the Master Chief Collection, which I've spent probably a hilarious amount of time on. You know, I don't feel like I'm losing that much by the site.
That makes sense.
But
makes sense.
You know, it's nice that they told us, just for those of us who do care, because I did go through and save some of the screenshots of, like I saw this one screenshot of me and like my high school friends like playing like Infection. I was like, oh cool, and I remember each of them by their armor. I was like, oh, that's Elliot, that's fucking Justin. It was like
awesome.
And it was just kind of neat to just kind of go back, cool. But I didn't spend more than 5 minutes on it. You know.
Yeah, it's cool that they still have it though.
Yeah.
Number 5, at the start of 2020, Ninja Theory, who is known for their work on Hellblade as well as DMC Devil May Cry, revealed Project Mara. The idea of the game is to bring real-world terror and a grounded representation of mental terror. It will be an experimental title and a showcase of what could become a new storytelling medium, says the studio. An update has arrived via a video documentary on the studio's YouTube channel titled The Dreadnought Diaries Episode 3 Capturing Reality. So if you want to go ahead and watch it, go ahead and look it up. The video displays in-engine shots, emphasis here on in-engine, by the way, but it closely represents life itself. Like, it's actually insane how accurate it is. The game takes place in an apartment that actually exists and has been recreated by the team. There's currently no timeline for the game as Xbox and PC fans await news on Hellblade 2. Josh McMullen writes in, hey guys, first time, long time, last stand patron. I'm not sure if this has been asked before, but where is our news on Hellblade 2? It actually hasn't been asked before, so great question to write in with. If I'm remembering correctly, the team at Ninja Theory expanded, and part of the team made Bleeding Edge. But Hellblade 2 has been in development for a while, and yet we've only gotten the reveal trailer and the look at it during one of the Xbox showcases last year. I expect that game has been in development since early 2019 at the latest. But that begs the question of why they showed it so early if it wasn't that far into development. I just need more Hellblade, and would like your insight into where you think the game is. Thank you for the entertainment. Loving the show so far.
Yeah, So far? He's loving the show so far? Come on, bro. No, that's good. That's good. Continually rate us on our success. I would say Ninja or Hellblade was shown purely to pimp the Xbox. That's why.
Yeah.
So there was no that wasn't like, they weren't in the back playing that shit during the break. Like that what we saw was to pimp that Series X. That's why we saw that. So
yeah, I think, when did Hellblade 1 come out? That came out
2017.
16?
Oh, I thought it was 16. I could be wrong. It was
I'll look it 17.
3 or 4.
It was 2017.
3 or 4.
But,
okay.
2017.
Yeah, okay.
17.
It was 2017. So yeah, it's been 4 years since then. They did pop out Bleeding Edge, which I had a lot of hope for because I was like an Overwatch addict for a really long while and put hundreds of hours in that game, and I was kind of hoping for another hero-based game that would sweep me away, but I think that game is quite dead right now.
Yeah,
which is really unfortunate.
6 people were playing last week when I looked at the numbers.
6 people.
That'll be gone. It'd be like what Cliff Basinski's failure when he pretended like he was making a masterpiece, Lawbreakers or whatever.
Or he did a battle royale game.
No,
as well,
I think it was Lawbreakers. Yeah, where it had like
Lawbreakers,
just the developers.
Lawbreakers. Oh my God, what was that? The bicycle battle royale.
Oh, man.
Bicycle.
Yeah, he made Oh my God.
Yes, he did. I don't remember what it was. It was on Steam, right?
Ah, damn it.
Yeah, I don't remember the name.
This is gonna bother the hell out of me.
Just type in like Cliffy B Battle Royale. I'm sure a list of his games.
Yeah.
Because they released it and it wasn't even like that was like pre-alpha, alpha.
I can't believe I can't even remember it. That sucks. That's so bad. Fuck, I remember me, Oh, Radical Heights was what it was.
Radical Heights.
Oh yeah. That's
hey, I remember me. It had an amazing soundtrack. I
thought the Combo Lab idea of Remember Me was awesome. I kind of wish Combo Lab. I wish more games did that. That was really cool. And I love the Neo Paris. That game was cool to me. It was very average, but it was very cool.
Yeah. But this Hellblade thing, man, like I'm really excited. Hellblade was one of the games that I found from Game Pass where I was like, I remember seeing trailers of it and I was like, oh, this looks kind of generic. I don't know if I'm that interested in it. And then I saw it on Game Pass and I was like, I guess I'll give it a shot. And actually, like, I didn't care for it again. But then a friend of mine was like, oh, dude, you got to play that game with headphones. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? I was like, no, trust me, dude, play it with headphones. And I did. And I was like, this is fucking outstanding.
Yep.
Like, I couldn't believe how good it was after just that one tweak, like, changed my perspective on that entirely. But I'm really looking forward to whatever they're going to do for this one. This world has a lot of potential, I think, and I hope we hear something about it soon. At least I don't anticipate we're going to be seeing this anytime soon. I think this is probably like 2022 at the earliest. I'm getting that vibe as well. I don't because the development timeline would suggest otherwise, but I just feel like with Bleeding Edge, even if it didn't do that well, it's still part of their team that was working on it, and now they've shifted all hands on deck probably to Hellblade 2. I would say that there should be an anticipated update on this game. I imagine they're going to do something like an Xbox showcase, kind of like what they did last May, and maybe they'll talk about it then, because I feel like, with it being the first game revealed alongside the Series X, I agree with Karak, it was definitely revealed just to promote the Series X, but with it having that kind of status, people are going to be looking for it, and it's going to, because it's the thing they remember. So I think it's just a matter of time, but yeah, I don't expect to see this game for a decent amount of time. But yeah, it was one of those, when I finished the first Hellblade, I didn't really think much of a sequel, so I'm just kind of letting this game come when it comes, and when I see more on Hellblade 2, we will definitely be talking about it here. But for me personally, I wouldn't even say my hype levels are high. I remember when I finished Hellblade 1, though, I adored its story. It was one of those kind of different approaches. I actually really dug the combat too. There was like a very cinematic feel to it. It was just a good game. But part of what I liked about Hellblade was it was very tight. It was 6 hours, kind of did what it had to do and left.
It was fun.
And it was $40. I don't know if you guys remember.
It was.
They released that at a great price. It was a tight game that even a person who maybe didn't love it would get through it. By the time they were through it, they would be bored. You know, when you give somebody a 12-hour, that's different.
Yeah, that's why I'm just a little. Concerned's not the right word. I'm a little hesitant of my excitement just because Hellblade doesn't strike me as this like gargantuan AAA like 20-hour game. I just especially because it's very driven on mental terror, as they would use their own words. So we'll see. I imagine we'll hear more soon. Number 6, do you like Dead or Alive? What about modern Ninja Gaiden games? Well, if so, you're in luck. Tomonobu Itagaki, creator of both of these IP, has established his own studio by the name of Itagaki Games. More importantly, for Xbox fans, Itagaki is already open to Xbox exclusivity. In an omitted section of an interview conducted with the Bloomberg that ended up on Itagaki's official Facebook page, he had the following to say about being acquired by Xbox. I would start again with questions that I made to Xbox designer Seamus Blackley 2 decades ago. Back then, I asked him, "Are you confident that you will beat the PS2?" He said, "Yes. Xbox is called Project Midway, and I'll gain supremacy with it. That's why I trusted him and actually created Xbox exclusive games for about 10 years. 20 years have passed since then, and I established my own company, Itagaki Games, which is not Tecmo nor Valhalla. I know Microsoft is still aggressive. If they reach out to me, it will be an honor for me." Now, it's worth noting that Itagaki left Koei Tecmo in 2008 and was one of the founders of Valhalla Game Studios in 2010. Since then, he has only released Devil's Third, a Wii U exclusive sitting at a 43 on Metacritic. Anthony A. writes in, "Gentlemen, Ninja Gaiden's Tomonobu Itagaki has formed a new studio, Itagaki Games. With that, he has stated it will be an honor to work with Microsoft again. Do you think Microsoft should pick up the phone and immediately call him? Ninja Gaiden or a new take on Ninja Gaiden would be awesome in my opinion. Plus, I see it as helping Microsoft gain some help in the Japanese market as well as the third-person gaming perspective Sony has dominated in recent years." Now, before we start our conversation, I feel like number 7 is very important to tie in to kind of bring this all full circle. So let's just read that, and then we'll talk about what exactly should Xbox be doing about Itagaki Games. Team Ninja's Fumihiko Yasuda recently participated in an interview with Video Game Chronicle about the future of Team Ninja, who are the developers of Nioh and the Ninja Gaiden franchises, respectively. Sadly, the interview will not be bringing good news to fans of either series. For Nioh, which is releasing, by the way, a complete edition on PC and PlayStation 5, boasting next-gen upgrades on February 5th, it seems like the series is being put to rest for now. Yasuda says, quote, "It has reached a good point in the story where all loose ends are tied up, so there are no plans for a sequel at this point. Of course, it's something that is still possible in the future, and we will consider it at a later date," end quote. He also laughed when asked about if the game will release on Xbox consoles before reeling himself in and saying that due to Ninja Gaiden, there is history there. This led to the interview popping the question about the long-dormant franchise, which hasn't seen a new entry since 2012. When Yasuda was inquired about anything upcoming for Ninja Gaiden, he said no plans currently, but I've always wanted to make a new installment in the series, so here's hoping for that. Okay, so I know that was a mouthful. I apologize. I talked for like an hour there, but I felt like all of that sort of tied together. Mm-hmm. So the question from Anthony was, should Microsoft pick up the phone for Itagaki Games, who has made the Ninja Gaiden, who was the idea came from him for Ninja Gaiden, the modern ones, by the way, not the NES games, but like Ninja Gaiden Black, Ninja Gaiden 2, that came from Itagaki. Do you pick up the phone and call him, especially now that you know right now Team Ninja is likely moving on to a new IP since they're not doing or have zero plans for Ninja Gaiden and they have put Nioh to rest? Because if I'm Phil, I pick up the phone right now, but that's me. What do you gentlemen think?
No.
Yeah, I don't know. If his only output has been a Wii U game that's sitting at 43 on Metacritic, like I don't know what. I feel like we have a weird tendency, and this goes not even just with games, but I think honestly less so with games, but like even with like film and music, to just sort of attribute an artist's success purely to one person, when it really does take like an entire studio. And the right people working at the right, like 2007 Bungie is like a very unique place to be, and it's not just the name Bungie that means something. It's the team of people that's currently there. It's the team of people that got together to make a really cool thing at the right time. And this guy might be a huge part of that formula, but if his output is a 43 on Metacritic, like I don't know, like it you gotta realize at a certain point that it's Itagaki and it's this person and it's this person and it's this design lead and it's this level designer and it's this audio director, and you know, if I'm Microsoft, I'm probably gonna be maybe interested, but I don't know if I'd immediately pick up the phone, because I think there's too big of a question there.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's well said. I personally sit on the side of the fence of you pick up the phone and call, because he answers a need. You see what he's, you know, the thing is do you back him right there and go like, all right, we're buying him? Definitely not. But I think it would definitely be worth a phone call to see what's going on. What are you making? Can we see it? And we were just talking, Karak was saying it's all about value. I think, you know, if he's open to this, you nab it for Game Pass at the very minimum.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like that, you know, while it's Microsoft's foremost plan of attack, really, when it comes to getting people involved, I do think, obviously, we talked about the big banging exclusives that are going to bring people to that ecosystem, and having something like that waiting there for you in that Game Pass library, you know, from that mind, I should say, could be good. We don't know what it is, but I think personally this could be a little neat find, especially because they're open to it. And I agree, you don't want to attribute all of that to one direct person. But I guess for me and my mindset is, there is a difference between like a founder, a director kind of mentality versus a person who's like leading the AI or something like that. But
you're right.
Now that you said that, and
it could be that this guy is just really good at Ninja Gaiden and not much else.
Yeah,
you know, that's also a possibility. But you know, I guess you're right. I guess an inquiry at the very least to add to the value of Game Pass wouldn't be the most. I just wouldn't be like jumping for joy at the thought of like just purchasing this studio. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't be like, oh man, I got to get Itagaki Games. Like in the pocket, you know.
I agree with that. Yeah, it's especially Devil's Third. I mean, it was originally going to be a multi-plat release, and then Nintendo just like gobbled it up, and I think that really fucked things up. I don't know, but Karak, what do you do with Itagaki? You leave him be? Tell him, show me something when you got something.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. I mean, it'd be like Mickey Rourke saying that he wanted to do Star Wars and having George Lucas call him. Who gives a fuck? Like, this guy's a nobody right now. He's got one game for, and I'm a huge Ninja Gaiden fan, but he's not even saying he has anything in the works. So I don't know why Microsoft would call him other than to say, you know, hopefully you get employed soon. What's that got to do with anything? Like, he needs to show them what he's got. Like, that's, like, I don't see any, unless you're just saying Microsoft would buy the IP, which would be, you know, if they want to buy the Ninja Gaiden IP, that would be interesting. Dead or Alive, I don't know who owns that.
Team Ninja,
I think that's that's a different group. Too bad, because I would love to see a sequel to that. But yeah, I don't think any of this is really what it sounds like to me, remembering that this guy also is just coming back because of the multiple accusations that he faced personally.
Oh, really? I did not know that at all. What happened?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was this guy. Yeah.
Wow.
I could be wrong on that, but I'm almost 100% sure it was this guy. But what I was going to say was, there is a gap. There is nothing being offered from him. So until there's something offered, I don't know why Microsoft would call him. Like, it's almost like saying, we worked together a long time ago and it was fun. I don't, you know, great. That's awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. But right now it means nothing unless he has something to offer. And the idea that they're not doing a Ninja Gaiden or anything like that also indicates to me that they don't believe a Sony would be interested, or a Nintendo, for instance. Which is sort of sad, because you would think Ninja Gaiden would be picked up by somebody, but I don't think Ninja Gaiden has anywhere near the IP fandom as a lot of people think too.
I think you're probably right on that.
Yeah.
You know who can sell anything though? Nintendo. Mm-hmm. Those fuckers can say, here's something from yesterday, but we're going to pretend it's nostalgic, and their fans would buy it. Like they could do it, but I don't think Microsoft could do it. But somehow Nintendo could sell like Ninja Gaiden on the Switch, and they'd have people who were like 40 years old being like, I remember back when I played that game. You know, they're so good at that.
The studio.
God, I wish I worked for them.
Sold the first ever Fire Emblem game.
What about it? What about the first?
We're talking about the team that like sold the first ever Fire Emblem game on Switch. It was $8, but it's still like damn, this is old. This is
wow.
really old.
Wow.
And they sold like a $40 collector's edition that didn't come with like the game itself, just like nostalgia.
I'm not going to look it up, but I
ridiculous.
actually think if it wasn't the guy from Ninja Gaiden, it would have been the Dead or Alive guy who had the allegations. I'm actually pretty sure I was wrong. I'm pretty sure it was the Dead or Alive guy, but he had a ton, and which wouldn't surprise me with Dead or Alive. I love the games,
the little,
but
little physics, we'll just say. That are in that game.
Some things make a little bit more sense on that one than Ninja Gaiden.
Definitely connecting the dots there.
Yeah.
Number 8, we got 2 left here. Stalker 2 has received another update, this time through the Xbox Wire. GSC Game World, developers of the Stalker franchise, state in the write-up that they have made quite a bit of progress since July, which led to the in-engine gameplay teaser we covered on this show a couple episodes ago. The team confirms that you will be able to play as a Stalker named Skiff, who's a new protagonist, and that his actions will shape the world. A lot of PR speak here, but it gets a little more interesting. The post wraps up with an update on the development status of the post-apocalyptic title. They say that the Series X and S versions are progressing smoothly. Ray tracing support will be there for both Series X and S, and 4K resolution support is available for Series X. There's no note of a release date yet, but GSC Game World assures that fans can be confident the game will come to Xbox Game Pass on day 1. So, just a little update there. Sounds like things are going well. They did not accompany this with any screenshots or anything.
Yeah.
So
I'm getting sick of hearing your actions will shape the world.
Yes,
Personally,
yes, I agree.
I'd almost prefer they didn't, to be quite honest.
Yeah. I'm
like
an RPG guy, and I would too.
Yeah, it's like oh my god, it's like whenever I see open world, you know, like I like open world games. Don't get me wrong, but like whenever I see like new thing is gonna be open world, it's like cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's not Ubisoft open world, at the very least.
Yeah. All right, number 9, and then we'll move on to Game Pass picks of the week. Outriders, the looter shooter. Chris, I'm sorry, I know you don't like that term. With RPG
no, I'm
elements.
fine with it.
It's just
Colin hates it.
Oh, it's Colin. Oh, I apologize. I mixed you two up. Outriders, the looter shooter with RPG elements, is just a few months away. With that, the development team, People Can Fly, who's known for Bulletstorm, they have shared a new trailer debuting its PC performance. At launch, Outriders will offer key remapping, FOV that you can adjust, and support for first-party controllers on PC. The game will support 13 languages, offer customizable HUD along with ultra-wide support, and will make use of NVIDIA DLSS, the image upscaling technology rendered via AI. Cross-save is also sort of making an appearance. You can't go between, say, Xbox and PlayStation, but PS4 to, say, PS5 is an option. Outriders is set to launch on April 1st of this year. I'm very excited for this game. My preview definitely swayed me in the level of excitement.
Really?
So I'll be honest with that. Yeah, when I played it, I was like, when I played it back in, I want to say it was August. I was like, oh, this is rough around the edges, but if they delay this and they give it some more time, it's going to be good, because the issues were on like a bullet spongy level. How many enemies were coming at you? They were like in mass, but like the gameplay was fun. It had like a cheesy B tier level of writing. It kind of had its own identity in that way, but it reminded me of the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer sequel I never got, right? I love the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, and this game plays just like that, but it's got some RPG elements and some loot that you can get, so it feels really good for me. But I can understand why some people look at it and go, generic, the game. But I am very much looking forward to this one. Are you guys at all anticipating this launch?
I don't know. It looks the issue with me is that it's a looter shooter, and like these games kind of inherently demand a lot from you. They demand a lot of your time. They demand a lot of, it's almost like a job, these fucking things. And it's like, I like this kind of game, but I can only handle one at a time, and for me right now, it's Destiny 2. My roommates are always on it, and it's just like, we complain about it all the time. But it's
of course,
it's my favorite game to complain about. Every day it's like, oh my god, what is this? Stasis is ruining PvP. Like what? Oh my god, they added a slowdown mechanic in the middle of a competitive multiplayer match. What the hell is this? Oh, random rolls. Oh, cool. How do I get this quest? Oh my god, the UI is so weird. So we getting on tonight?
Yeah, I was about to say 12
it's
hours
like literally that is that game to me, and it's like, and I can't deny it, man. The game like just plays really well, so it's just hard for me to rip myself out of it and throw myself into another game that's like very similar, that has like its whole new currency and economy to learn, and like I don't know. I've only got so much bandwidth, you know.
I get that. Yeah, for me, I'm not in that park. Like, I don't have that home base or that kind of go-to game.
That's fair, yeah.
It's kind of becoming Hitman 3 because that game's just so replayable.
Jesus, yeah.
I haven't, I have it installed. I haven't touched it yet because for some reason, like, I'm used to games coming out at 9 p.m. on the West Coast. That's usually because they come out at midnight. And I was like so excited. I was like, yeah, 9 p.m. tonight, I'm going to play Hitman. And then it said releasing in 7 hours. And I was like, what do you mean? They're releasing at 4 a.m. my time? What the fuck is that? So I haven't touched it yet, but I'm really excited. I love the Hitman game.
It is so good.
Even though I'm bad at all of them.
Yeah, I save scum a ton, but it is so good.
Yeah.
I could make a whole show on it. So yeah, your purchase will be well worth it. I really like that game. All right, so that's it for the news. It's time for us to move on to the Game Pass picks of the week. Chris, you're our guest. Would you like to start off with your Game Pass pick of the week?
Sure, guys. So my Game Pass pick of the week is a game by the name of Katana Zero. It's a kind of neon pixel art, 2D. It's screen based, so it's not like continuous 2D like Dead Space or something. But it's like you progress through one screen and then you're out. It's very cool. It reminds me a little bit of The Messenger, a little bit of Celeste, and a little bit of Scott Pilgrim too. It's a really cool mix of just pixel art and kind of like samurai kind of ninja kind of slashy nonsense, and it's got a comedic tone to it. There's like sequences where you're at your therapist and you have to like there's RPG mechanics to it. There's like conversations where you could like choose how you interact with people, if it's like really aggressive or really calm, and it's a surprise hit. And I didn't even anticipate even playing it, but like a friend of mine was like, hey, have you heard of this game Katana Zero? It's on Game Pass. I was like, what? And he was just like, yeah, it's wild. And I was all right, yeah, I'll install it on a whim. And I really enjoy it so far. It's got a killer soundtrack. It's got a nice aesthetic. Pixel art, I think, is just kind of hard to it's hard to find good pixel art these days. I feel like it's a lost art in a lot of ways. So seeing something that's kind of modern but also kind of feels like it's paying a good homage to that kind of genre is like really fun, and it's something I would recommend, especially on Game Pass. It's for free. You ain't losing anything. And it's short too. It's really digestible.
There we go. We love short. I picked Yes Your Grace. This is a really different style game. I didn't know what to expect. I was very curious about it. Pretty much it's kind of in a pixel art style, so it's funny that Chris and I here are on the same wavelength. But it's also a kingdom management sim where you make choices and there are consequences. So one of them's, I played it for a couple hours. One of them is where you choose who your daughter marries, and her reaction to it could be very heartbreaking. You like choose the dress she wears for her wedding day, and like I thought I was picking it for the wife, so I picked this because she really liked it. I didn't realize it was for the daughter. When she got married to this guy she didn't like, it was like a very big bushy dress and it looked awful. But there's just interesting choices. And so what happens is, based off the name Yes Your Grace, you're a king of this region in the world. And so you sit on your throne, and what will happen is people will like kind of come in almost in like a Papers, Please style.
Right.
And they'll like ask you for things like, hey, this person needs your help. Like we need a general, or we need supplies, or we need money. And you can just give them that, or you can pass it up, and you've got to manage when is the time to give and when is the time to let someone go be on their own. And sometimes you'll deny someone and they'll come back to bite you in the ass. Sometimes you'll send someone out to help and they'll be like, there was nothing there. And so you could have used that general for some other process, like for them to handle relations with another place. And it sounds like a lot more than it is, but it's about like from what I've seen online, an 8 to 10 hour game. It's not very long and it is replayable. And I really liked it. So this is a game that I definitely would not have found without Game Pass, honestly. Like it's one of those things that I kept scrolling by, and then I had one of those bored window shopping sessions where I just went into Game Pass and I was like, ooh, pretty tiles. And then I saw that, I looked it up, and I ended up downloading it. It's quick download, like half a gig or something. And it was really good. I really liked it. I have yet to finish it, but it's definitely something that I think will scratch an itch for some people. I like those management style games. You can go around different parts of your kingdom and do things, send people to certain places, but it's not very overwhelming. And I think that's because the game is a lot more compact. So definitely give that a look. Karak, however, what is your Game Pass pick?
Karak, however, is really mad because I updated the the discussion board you made, the Google Doc, and downloaded it prior to updating it, and now I can't find the title that I chose for backwards, which will be the next part of the discussion, correct?
Oh, I think it's there. I'm pretty sure Chris pointed it out before we had started. Yeah, yours is there for back compat.
Yours is there for
not
back.
there. Yeah. Yours is not there for Game Pass though.
Yeah.
On our doc.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because I got so interested in backwards compat, I forgot we do like general Game Pass games. I completely forgot. I was so excited about the. Damn it.
Well, we did a whole new section on Game Pass. So to make it easy for you, would you like to pick one from that little selection of upcoming games? Control on PC, Desperados 3.
Oh yeah, thank you for the out. Jeez.
Cyber Shadow.
I would say no.
You seem pretty hyped on Donut County.
Yeah, that's the thing that I was thinking about is like, so people understand like some of the game, like I like Pool Panic as well. Some of these just like you're playing them going, what in the fuck is happening? And there are multiple mini games, and that's sort of what Donut County is, where you're trying to like do stuff physics wise. But I would say no, I think it's Control just because I adore Remedy. And I think a lot of people passed on Control, even though Control, and it was, I mean, like 12 FPS on the base consoles. Like, it was bad, I get why people passed on that. But Control mixes in with Alan Wake in its narrative. In fact, the AWEs or, Alan Wake experience, there's like all these little secrets and little Easter eggs that connect these games together. I would personally just tell people to play Control if you get a chance. It is really good. It's really enjoyable. It's also got one of the better physics game engines. As a third-person game, a lot of times you'll get a game engine where it'll be like, you can destroy everything in the world, and you can, like, smash something, and it breaks a little bit. Cyberpunk. So with this game, though, you can pick, like, fucking desks off of the actual cabinets and separate them. Like, things that really don't exist in destruction systems in a lot of games. And when a bad guy shoots the fucking wall next to you, admittedly, this is, like, Max Payne level stuff. We've seen it since those games. But seeing, like, debris and mortar come off and seeing the metal bits underneath it is just that added... there's a kinetic feeling to everything that occurs. And every time you throw something at somebody, it feels even better because it doesn't just hit the dude. It like hits and smashes and breaks stuff. And that feeling of absolute power is fucking awesome. And a lot of side missions that you can miss if you don't pay attention. There's a lot of, it's not open world. I would never say that, but there's like open/hub mission. And there's times where you might miss a clothing option if you don't go into a side mission and stuff, and that causes me to want to continue to play it. So, I would say
Control is so good. It is a shame. I'm excited for like the proper next gen edition because I bet that's gonna run like super smooth. And that was the only problem that I had with Control was that it was like, man, the performance is so inconsistent. But damn, was it a? I mean, I also love Remedy, but Control was just such a weird. It was like Twin Peaks meets Destroy All Humans. It was just bizarre, like the weirdest combination of things. And I was like, this is any game with telekinesis,
like the janitor and stuff, and you're just sitting there going, why? And even at the starting, the narrative, unlike Alan Wake, which starts out in this game, you don't even know where you're starting. You're like, why am I here? What is even happening in this game? And
it's a mindfucky game. That maze, the maze with the metal or whatever the hell the old Gods of Asgard song that plays when you're going through this like trippy.
So good.
What a memorable. Such a good game. It's a shame it didn't do as well as I think it really deserved to. But
it's a shame that's a great pick. 404 or 505. Fucked over and messed up the release and all this stuff. And they got a lot of people, including myself, actually very pissed because behind that is a developer who made something that is well worth experiencing. And once again, not always, because some developers are POSs, but in this instance, it wasn't the developer who was like, hey man, let's screw everybody over. That sounds like a plan. So go check it out.
Voice.
I would double that.
My Kermit the Frog. Not very good at it, but
I thought it was pretty good. That's why I started to laugh. All right, time to quickly go through our PC deals of the week. Now, Edwin Castillo wrote it in, so I thought I'd include a little fan submission here. Hello, Cum Boys. I'm not sure what the hell that is.
Oh, my God. Did he write that?
Yeah, but mostly
Welcome
Matty
to third
since Karak hates OLEDs. Yeah, what? Edwin, grow up, dude.
Jeez.
A tip on
this
the
is
deal
Edwin?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. What's he going to say about me? Go.
A tip on the deal section. OLED TVs are hitting their lowest prices of the year at Best Buy for the 55, 65, and 77 inch. So if anyone wants to join the OLED cult that's been gathering, this is the cheapest entry so far. Now, Karak, I send you the script every week. You put your notes in. Your note here was these lack major support for some of the more console advanced features.
Yeah.
You guys are more tech savvy than me, so by all means, take it away, and then I'll read the stuff I'm capable of
Dude,
discussing.
OLED's awesome, but people are under a cultish, like a desire to understand like what an absolute black is, which sounds really bad, but all it means is a pixel having no light emitting from it. OLEDs are great for that. But if you're in a bright room, OLEDs suck donkey balls. And I've got one. I know. And I've got the best one you could possibly get. And I know. I test HD TVs for my side job. I'm telling you right now, OLED is not a perfect purchase for everybody, which is what I was trying to explain to people. And especially you'll have somebody be like, well, just spend $2,000 more and get an OLED. And I'm like, dude, what world do you live in? Where somebody's like, they're thinking they're going to get the Chinese limited company, TCL. Like somebody will be like, I'm just going to get a cheap TCL. And then somebody will be like, nah, man, just, spend an extra $2,000 and get an OLED. And it's like, guys, the difference between those is not always commensurate with the amount of money. That's what I was saying. I think OLEDs are awesome. I think if you want to get these are great, but many of them do not have the proper support for 2.1 HDMI and the stuff that you're looking for. What I was trying to tell people is it might be best to currently wait, because I do know of some sets that are coming out. You're getting micro LED from various companies as well. And I think it might be better to wait a little bit and see what these new techs will be, including look at Shield Pro. Shield Pro has incredible AI anti-aliasing. We know Samsung's looking at that, which will improve your, let's say, Netflix, something to that effect. I'm just saying OLED HD TV as a whole is sort of bad right now, the honest truth. And it's difficult for a person to buy it and get a good picture without knowing all these other side things. And I'm hoping this year we start to sort of make it a little easier on new consumers.
Yeah. I love my OLED, but it doesn't have the 120 refresh rate.
Gotcha.
Which I don't mind necessarily because like 60's always been fine to me, and I feel like honestly like 120 is gonna spoil me if I.
That's
it's gonna be like,
my friend is,
70 frames, gross. And I don't want to exist in that world just yet.
I love mine as well. It's just, it depends on your room. It's like projectors. You'll have somebody be like, projector's best thing ever. And it's like, yeah, sure. If you live in the abyss. If you live in the abyss, that's great. But if you live in a real world, then it starts to have its issues. And the cost, these are, on sale. That's awesome. And I would definitely say if you have money. But as you guys know, especially Matty, as we've started this, one thing is I run a value channel. And I'll be the first one to say, don't go out and get PS5 at all. Never. I would never tell somebody to buy a PS5 in a million years. I would never tell somebody to buy a Series X. And right now, I would never tell somebody to buy an HD TV until we see what the current new ones are. You can sort of gather, sort of see where these prices are and what's going on with the tech. A lot of competing techs too. A lot of competing techs.
Number 2 on our PC deals of the week. It all has to do with games this week, by the way. We've been doing some tech stuff, and we're going to do some games. Cyberpunk 2077 is receiving major discounts already. Over on Amazon, you can pick up the game on PC, which will give you a GOG download code for $40. If you want to go ahead and just if you want to 100% support the CD Projekt Group and also roll the dice a little bit, $40 is a fine price tag, I'm sure. I really like the game, so with that, you should not ignore its issues. Keep that in mind. Number 3, Xbox has the WD Black external hard drive going for $100 instead of its usual $110 price tag. Now, while this isn't a major discount, this hard drive comes with 2 free months of Game Pass Ultimate. And it features 3 terabytes of memory space. So this is perfect if you are a Game Pass downloader.
How much was that?
3 terabytes.
That's actually not bad when you consider it's 3. I thought you were going to say it was 2. 2 and 2 as usual. So that's not bad, actually.
Plus the Game Pass, you can get kickstarted and just download everything to your heart's content. It's Xbox branded, so that's a good one.
And you guys know, I don't know if you
Amazon.
guys know, but their quick resume works on those USB games. Which
perfect.
is crazy. Yeah.
Perfect. Number 4, last one for the PC deals of the week. The Humble Store has kicked off its winter sale, featuring many major titles on great deals. Some of the ones I picked out here, you can get Yakuza Like a Dragon for $45, Persona 4 Golden for $15. Go buy that right now. Mad Max for $5, Borderlands 3 for $30, or you can get its Ultimate Edition for $50, and BioShock the Collection for $12, plus much more. They have a 2K sale, they have a Warner Bros. Sale, they have a Sega sale, so a lot of games that you can go to the Humble Store and pick up if you'd
Dude,
like.
every BioShock for $12 is insane.
Yeah, right? Like, it's such
Holy
good
shit.
stuff right there. So those are some good PC deals. Go out there if you're gaming on PC. Give those a look. With that, we move into our backwards compatible pick of the week. You're feeling nostalgic. You want a good game to play. We've got you covered. All right. Chris and I are in the same boat here with a little Star Wars action, it seems. Chris, all you, buddy.
Yeah, so I booted up Star Wars Jedi Starfighter last night. This is a game that I actually had on Xbox a long time. I and keep in mind, like, I've never really cared that much about Star Wars. I didn't even watch the movies until like 2017, straight up. Like, I missed the entire hype. Like, my entire exposure to Star Wars has been through video games, like The Force Unleashed and Star Wars Jedi Starfighter, and
cool.
And I think a little bit of Clone Wars I watched. But yeah, man, I booted this up yesterday and I was like, there were lines from like the characters, and I was finishing them in my head. I was like, oh my god, I forgot that I attached myself so intrinsically to this game. And it's just a flight kind of, not sim, but it's like you're flying around in starfighters, you're blowing up Trade Federation ships and like fighting on beaches and in space, and it's fun. It's a good time. It's got a fun script. It's got fun characters in it, and I don't know much about Star Wars, but I enjoy it quite a bit.
Yeah, it's definitely not one that's gonna like further the lore for you, but it is a good time. I have it on PS2 and it runs like shit, so I personally gonna have to get an Xbox copy so I can play this backwards compatibly. I actually wasn't aware that this was on Xbox, to be quite honest.
Yeah, no, that's where I played it, and it runs way better now.
Yeah,
like, it's
I would hope so.
Certainly a nicer experience.
Derek Beek wrote in about Republic Commando, Star Wars Republic Commando. So my choice is inspired by him. I was thinking about my backwards compatible pick of the week, what I wanted to toss in here, and I eventually went with this. So I just wanted to let Derek know I am leeching off his selection that he mentioned in our Last Stand Media thread for episode 3 of Defining Duke. Republic Commando, there's so many Star Wars games that people talk about, and I feel like Republic Commando doesn't get, not the love it deserves. A lot of people love it, but it doesn't get that widespread demand like, what happened and we need a sequel. Shit ended on a cliffhanger. I need my answers. We need to know what happened to Sev 07. We need to know what happened. So for those who don't know, Republic Commando, it is a first-person squad-based shooter set in the Star Wars universe. You play as a group of commandos who are sent on special missions for the Republic. So you'll go to like Geonosis. My favorite level is you go on an abandoned Republic ship, and there are Transdoshans there, and it's got a great atmosphere. It's a little creepy, and so you can like command your soldiers to do things like get on this sniper perch or set an explosive here or take cover here. And I think it was really ahead of its time. Where if anyone's played Tom Clancy Ghost Recon Future Soldier, really weird connection here, but it plays like a first-person version of that and a little less clean. Mm-hmm. It's got blood too, so you got like a melee attack where a knife pops out of your wrist, and if you stab a Geonosian, it'll actually like blood will hit your visor and then it'll wipe off. Really cool attention to detail there. For me though, that is my pick. Please look at this game. It's only about 6 hours long. Nice first-person shooter campaign. Good atmosphere. Great music. Lots of chants and whatnot.
Yeah.
Go out and enjoy that one.
The closest you've got to a sequel is Halo 5 Guardians. Because we were talking about this before the show, but like the director of Republic Commando was the I think the senior director or gameplay director of Halo 5, which is why that game has like weird squad based stuff in it. But
go back to Star Wars. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, Republic Commando's better than Halo 5.
Yeah, I would say so. Karak, it's all you. It's your backwards compatible.
Oh yeah, so I didn't know this was backwards compatible until so I'm gonna play it as well. But Mercenaries, which is like one of my favorite games of all time on the original Xbox. I had a hacked Xbox, and you could actually go in there. They had INI files. It was a PC version of the game. So you could go in and hack the INI file and turn the gravity off, climb up fucking hills and stuff. But regardless of all the hacking, as a core game, that thing is just wicked. It's got your trilogy of characters. You know, admittedly back then it was the typical, like, you know, cocky white guy, the fucking, you know, brutish, thuggish black guy, and a chick. I can't remember anything about her. She was cool in the second one, I think. But in that one, they didn't really, you know, extend the story too much. But it was a little bit like GTA 5, you know, where you can switch between these characters. Awesome shooting, third person though, so be aware of that. But you would do crazy stuff, and the destruction was incredible for a game that old. Like destroying vehicles and just watching everything explode. And it was one of those titles that's a little bit like a gun version of Mars Remastered or whatever that the shitty one was. Yeah, but because of the destruction, but it was all guns, right? It was just guns and explosives. And Matthias, depending on where you're from, who was voiced by Satan in Constantine, the movie Constantine, that guy is like, he's fucking awesome anyway, just as a voice actor. And so he's like giving one-liners as you're tossing C4 behind your back. The bad guys are running towards it. You just, boom, and you can. It's just a playground, man. It's the best sandbox playground of anarchy that you can. And I believe in that game, if I remember right. Again, I'm going to return to this because I just found out it was backwards compatible today, but I don't believe there was any people, meaning it's not like a GTA where you have to worry about killing people. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't remember worrying about people. Now, that could just be me being homicidal, but I don't think there were people in that game that you had to worry about. So if you just like pure anarchy, man, Mercenaries is where it's at, for sure.
Dude, Mercenaries, I love... Pandemic in general, like, I will always be so appreciative of that studio, because they I think, were like the kings of the middle market. They really made some of the best shit in that sphere. They made like Destroy All Humans, Battlefront, Mercenaries 1 and 2. I loved Mercenaries 2. I never actually played the original, but
Mercenaries 2 was good too.
Mercenaries 2 was hilarious. You could like, let me just call in a bunker buster on this apartment building, and it's like, and it just
and
like,
you can't tell me that Just Cause didn't just pick up Mercenaries.
Oh, totally.
Like you could sniff it, you could smell it, and go. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. That's what you should do, because Mercenaries isn't being made anymore. But you could, everything that people maybe like about maybe 1 and 2, possibly 3 of Just Cause is in Mercenaries.
It comes from Mercenaries, and man, we're so lucky we had a studio like that. Even honestly, like even when they were out the door, and when EA was like coming in to wring their necks, they put out the Saboteur, which was like this weird like Paris.
Oh, the black and white shit.
Yeah, and it was so good. It was so good. Like it wasn't like Citizen Kane, you know, but like the fact that the fact that there's a game where you just bring color back to like Nazi occupied Paris
as you better the world.
As you just murder Nazis. It's just like Pandemic were the kings, and I miss them every day.
It's interesting because I did a lot of interviews for people who worked at Pandemic, and funny enough, a lot of them went to 343. Like they all kind of went out in almost splinter groups. Yeah,
really?
Man, I was not aware of that at all.
I interviewed Scott Warner, and he was telling me a lot of them, like, because they were all in like one area in California, so there were only a set number of developers that they could sort of reach out to, and one of them was 343, where a lot of them gathered, which I found really interesting. Because a lot of them are still in contact, and it, for all of us who have played those games, it was a really special time. But they, from what I've gathered from like I think 6 interviews I did, they say it was just as special on the inside. And this is way after the fact, so I think if they had some shit to say, they probably would, because no one's really holding them back on it. So it's interesting, and plus you don't really get to see a studio swan song, right? Like the Saboteur is really good to end it all on, right? They got
I would say the Saboteur is better than Mercenary. I mean, I liked Mercenary 2's a lot, but it had some. It was trying to do a lot with the hardware at the time, and I think Saboteur just was so different. That's a good game to be like, dude. We spat it all out. Like that was that was our last game.
The table.
Yeah. I mean, they made Destroy All Humans and Battlefront is being is still being milked today.
Yeah,
and
right.
Destroy All Humans was just recently remastered, and it's like
Battlefront.
I don't know.
Which one did they make?
They made I think they made the first 2.
No shit. Because
Yeah,
those
they
were
made-
actually
they
they're
made both of them.
the better
Yeah, they
ones.
did.
I'm fairly certain. Let me
That's
see.
interesting. I mean,
Pandemic
that's
made
interesting.
both of them, and the Pandemic made all of them. That was the crazy part about it all. it's crazy because EA had Pandemic and they had BioWare during their golden ages. Like, think of the amazing games that EA just had their stamp on. Like, it's crazy to think of, if you look at them now.
Just so
think
good.
of Shane Kim selling fucking BioWare, Bazaar, and Bungie. Think of what he feels like now. It's like, damn, we should have just kept them all.
Yeah, right.
The 3Bs. I still remember that year. As an Xbox fan, that shit was off the hook. You were just like, wait, what? And I remember people were like, the 3Bs. And Bazaar, I think they're gone. Yeah, Bazaar evaporated.
Bazaar's gone, yeah.
Yeah, which is too bad because I liked some of their racing games. But
I was really excited for Bungie. I was like a child, and I was excited for Bungie because I played Marathon.
Oh, you did too?
Marathon.
Yeah. Man, dude, yeah, there's not a lot of people I know who can say they've played Marathon.
Durandal.
Yeah, that shit's awesome.
So
or Myth, admittedly. As a Bungie fan, dude, I fucking loved Myth.
I was bad. I was bad at Myth.
Oh, were you bad at it? I remember what the dwarves said when they got fucking sent places and all this shit. Like, and I remember when I found out they weren't going to make another one. I was like, fuck. Because I think they did 3 of those. They did 2, Myth something, and then Soul Blighter, which I think was their...
Wow, this game looks really... This looks nothing like I expected.
What?
Yeah, it's old.
Myth? Yeah.
Myth is old.
Oh, Myth is... Dude, Myth is... WoW. So that's the thing about Bungie at the time is Myth was like an answer to WoW. Like that was... Or not WoW, I'm sorry. Orcs versus goblins or what was
Warcraft?
the... Warcraft,
Was
yeah.
it?
Yeah, it was but it was a 3D version of it. And dude, the ground could deform. So like a dwarf would have these explosives. You'd throw them and you see the ground wave when it... fucking... Man, those games were good.
Right on. Well, we got 5 questions written in from the audience that we're going to go over to wrap the show up. Gabriel Garland is our first one to write in. Hey, guys. In light of the recent Star Wars game news, if you could pick any studio to make a Star Wars game, what studio would it be, and what sort of game would you like to see them make? I would like to see the makers of For Honor make a competitive multiplayer Sith versus Jedi Old Republic game. Keep up the good work. That is a great idea. I got to say, for me, it was immediately, right? I got to say, Platinum Games and Star Wars. I look at the animation work for Nier Automata, and I just crap in my pants. Like, my body loses all control. There's fecal matter everywhere. It's insane.
Wow.
I just can't fucking believe that shit exists.
That's a
lot.
lot.
So I would love to see that with a lightsaber, pretty much.
Damn.
The delicate dance of death, but with a lightsaber.
Man, I really have no idea. I think I would I because I'm so not familiar with Star Wars in general.
Yeah, true.
But like I think I would love to see. Man, I would love to see a new pod racing game. I don't know who would really be good at that.
That'd be cool, yeah.
Crash Team Racing I thought was fucking good, but
yeah.
I don't know if that would necessarily if that dev would be all that good at making a pod racing game. But I would love to see like something like that because like we're gonna see obviously a lot of like sword slashy and like a lot of telekinesis in like in a Star Wars game developed by anybody. But I think
That's fair, yeah.
I think racing is just in general just kind of an interesting genre, and it Star Wars made their mark with that pod racing game back in the N64 days, and people still talk about that. So but I don't know who. I can't place a dev necessarily.
EA with Codemasters. That's why they bought them.
Codemasters, yeah.
Go make us a racing game for Star Wars.
Yeah, that is true. I forgot about Codemasters being bought by them.
It's easy to forget.
It is because it was Take-Two, right? That was originally going to buy them, and then EA was like, "Hey, how about an extra cool couple million?" Mine would. I think the big issue with me is like the old BioWare isn't the current BioWare, so I'm not going to say them or anything. But a lot of these companies, I just don't know their output anymore. I mean, I would say something like I would really like Obsidian, but I think I'm going to switch it over to the guys who did Wasteland 3 in Exile. I would like to see... I think Wasteland 3 had real choice, unlike some games that have been released called Cyberpunk. You have a bunch of choice all over. Got all these different things you can do in Wasteland 3. And whether you like it or dislike it or had technical issues, just talking to somebody in Wasteland 3 and the decisions they made are crazy. Like, you can kill the main guy you talk to right at the starting. Like, it was, and which I didn't even know of until I was talking to somebody about it. So I would say Wasteland, like, it doesn't have to be a Wasteland 3 style game. I just think those guys deserve it. Like there's something about them, and I think that they're the Obsidian that's not called Obsidian. A lot of people ignore them.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Why would you ignore? I had him on my podcast, and it's like people would be like, "Hey man, good job on Fallout," and he'd be like, "Oh my god, like what?" Like you never. It's almost like the second running back in a football team or something. They just never get that fucking thing they deserve. So yeah, man, I would say give them fucking 150 million and be like, dude, make us whatever you want to make
tactical
us.
Star Wars game even.
Make us and there people you were talking about audio for Hellblade. I just really want to say it clearly. Wasteland 3, amazing audio, but even more so Bard's Tale. The Bard's Tale game that came out had fucking just a wicked soundtrack, and I would love to see like a Star Wars with new music, like sort of some fresh blood in there. Yeah.
I mean, that's why we always go back to KOTOR, right? And it's why we always go back to KOTOR. It just, Knights of the Old Republic, that was the fresh blood of the franchise, and that was almost 20 years ago now. Charles Clausen writes in, "Hey boys, I've been enjoying the Duke so far. I have a question/discussion that no Xbox fan seems to want to answer. Is Microsoft's purchase of ZeniMax/Bethesda good for the industry and good for gamers? Does it make Microsoft look bad? Xbox fans are excited by it. They seem to act like Microsoft was paying off all their debt and buying them a puppy." Charles, I'm going to start off by just saying you sound pissed. But with the purchase, if you are an Xbox fan, nothing really changes. You might get games that you were already going to have available to you in Game Pass, but that is it. Xbox fans were probably more excited because Microsoft has the ability to take a lot of things away from PlayStation fans that they were used to having them available. How is that a good thing? Yes, Sony bought studios, but it was because before they had any cross-platform mega franchises. Doom has been around for 25 years. Be the first that is willing to talk about this and keep on keeping on.
I don't see the problem. If Sony can put out an exclusive Spider-Man game,
I'm sorry, my dog.
No, you're good.
If Sony can put out an exclusive Spider-Man game, like I remember seeing that and being like, that's really weird. Because Spider-Man seems like not like a public domain character, but he seems like a character that should be, if he's going to have something released, it should be available to literally everybody. And I remember thinking that was like weird. But even I was like, well, it's Insomniac and they're making the game, like it's whatever. And Microsoft has already said like a lot of their output's probably going to be multi-platform going forward anyway. So I don't see that. If anything, we should be happy that Microsoft, of all people, like took this. And like, because if Amazon had swooped in, or if like Google had swooped in, you'd see like, hey, here's games that you've played forever, but now it's on Stadia only, or like, oh, here's here's Amazon publishing their new fucking the new Elder Scrolls, and it's got some arbitrary Amazon link to it, and it's just like Microsoft seems to be the most cooperative one of those big three that could have potentially even made this offer in the first place. And I think it's a good thing because they're still putting out games on PlayStation even before they even had to. Minecraft Dungeons came out on PlayStation, and the fact that the Halo collections on PC and just all these different ways that Microsoft cross-pollinates. I think that them being the ones to get them is kind of exactly the reason why you shouldn't be afraid of this specific thing happening that you seem to be afraid of.
Yeah, I would just say, for me, I think the reason I see a lot of celebration is, number one, Bethesda and Xbox have, Bethesda's always done their best work with Xbox. I think that's just, you can see it clear as day. From the performance of their games to when they were working exclusively with Xbox, that was when their best content was coming out. Like, that is just a fact. Like, the scores were higher, the reception was better, and whenever they went to PlayStation, it just did not really seem to end all that well. The other thing is that I think a lot of people are happy, if anyone, Microsoft got Bethesda, because what's happening now is you have Microsoft as a whole has three different avenues you can access their games through. You have PC, you have the console, and you have the cloud. Let's be honest. And especially now we're talking about Samsung TVs getting a Game Pass app. So now maybe you just need a controller and a streaming app on your TV. So I hate to say it, and it's not like a Sony hater approach, but it's just not as approachable as saying Spider-Man on PlayStation console and only this PlayStation console. That's just the reality of it. And any other PlayStation exclusive. But not to repeat too much of what Karak said last week, but a lot of people just think like, after Microsoft or after every company has not been the good guy when getting these new IP, that suddenly Microsoft's going to be like, we're giving this to everybody. And I don't think that's the case, but there are going to be way more ways to access this on an exclusive basis compared to others. And so that's why I think Microsoft's playing very particular wordplay where they're calling it case-by-case basis, and they're saying, we want our games accessible. And people are like, oh, PlayStation. It's like, no, like a streaming app on a TV. So anyone could go out and spend $60 on a controller, sign up for Game Pass. You got that subscription monthly. You don't got to make the $600 big purchase for a console, $500 big purchase for a console. You just get the controller, get the app. That's it. So I think that's their future. And all the more reason to lock these games away. All right. Got 2 more left, gentlemen. I'm sorry, 3 more. Tyler writes in, hey, Magic Matty and Majestic Karak. I had a question about Bethesda / Microsoft acquisition. Man, they need some more news. The Xbox needs to do something. There's too many questions.
Yeah.
This one's more specifically about Deathloop, which is why I chose it. Microsoft has said that all of their first-party games are coming to Game Pass from day one. However, Deathloop is a PS5 timed console exclusive. It obviously won't be on Game Pass for console, but what about PC? Do you think Deathloop will be released day one on Game Pass for PC? Love the new intro and love the show too. Thank you both. Thank you, Tyler. Deathloop day one for Game Pass PC. I never really considered this workaround. Do you think Microsoft might figure something out for that?
No.
I was going to say, I just feel like that's locked away. I don't think they're able to, because that deal had to have been inked with PlayStation for a while.
Yeah.
I feel like there's no working around
If they could
that.
do it, that would be smart. But I feel like they would have said something about it, or
Yeah,
like,
that's
well, does it have a release date? I'm pretty sure it does, right?
Yeah,
It's
May
like
20
May.
something.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it off the table necessarily, but I don't think this is gonna happen. I think, which is a shame, but.
And I don't think, I'm going to be honest, I don't think Deathloop's going to be that good where I think Microsoft wants to put their money in on that and just be like, let's get this on Game Pass just because. Especially because it's one part of their Game Pass program. I just feel like you're segmenting too much there. And there are certain things they do on Game Pass where like certain things only go to Game Pass PC. Like we just talked about, Control was on console first. Then it came to PC this month. So there is that.
Yeah.
What were you about to say, Karak? Sorry, I cut you off.
I'm trying to remember if I answered the last question about Bethesda. I think I went up to
You stepped away. You stepped away.
to feed the dog. I do want to add something. I don't know. And by the way, these guys probably more eloquently put this, but there's a couple things. First, we know for a fact that Sony was shopping Starfield and trying to figure out a way to get that exclusive. So if you believe that Sony's going to magically do something no other company does or has done, you're wrong. Also, I have friends who've worked for companies that have been guttered by Sony. I know a lot of people seem to think these weird positive things about Sony, but they're all just companies. The idea that Bethesda and Microsoft and how all this came about and these guys working together, I think that it's weird to me, and I think that the person who wrote that might be a little bit more personally invested than they probably should be. And the reason why I say that isn't to be an ass, because actually I joke about this all the time and I tease you guys all the time, but I want to make sure something's clear. Technically, a monopoly isn't bad for an industry until the monopoly takes an action that's bad for the industry. And what people have done is they've heard that term, and they've heard these big conglomerate terms. They expect it to be bad, so they say it's bad right away. And I get the idea of that, but Sony's done the same thing. Nintendo's done the same thing. These companies do this all the time, and it's not always turned out terribly. EA's done it, usually turns out terribly when they buy a company. But I think that a lot of people get too personally invested, and I know a lot of people have been like, man, does Karak get excited for anything? When it comes to gaming, very rarely, because I experience it, that's awesome, but I don't sit up late at night hugging my anime pillow. I think that for a lot of people who get this personally invested in Bethesda working for a Microsoft or something like that and get to the fact of where they're saying they just bought something that they might have got anyway, is not listening to the reports we've had where we very much know that Sony was looking at Starfield, for instance, and definitely was looking into buying exclusivity for Starfield, which would have been a Bethesda game. So it's like we know for a fact that could have happened. Microsoft did what they needed to do in an industry where you can't sit there and be like, I'm going to be better than everybody else while they're punching you in the face. You all have to make your own deals and do your own things, and I don't think it's bad. I don't like exclusives. I will admit that when it's a third party, but not liking it and thinking it's bad are also completely different. For example, I just said about PSVR, I had a rail about VR for Hitman being on PSVR. Like I was like, this is, and what I was trying to explain to people is it's donkey shit. I don't care what IO got paid. I hate it. Does it mean it's bad? No, because Hitman 3 might have got made from that money. There is absolutely nothing that I see in that particular instance that would indicate any way otherwise. In fact, just like Microsoft gave money for Wasteland 3, we know for a fact. Look at what NXIL said. They stated there would not have been as many voices, as many, there's multiple things that were added. I think you just need to step aside. You get the games you get. Being mad that one company does something that another does, I can guarantee you, Bethesda going to Microsoft, the one thing you'll never hear anybody mention is Bethesda going to Microsoft opens up an entire avenue for another AA or AAA developer to take that spot on a multi-plat position. And one of the things that no one ever talks about is that if Bethesda goes to Microsoft, then Sony will be actively looking for something to fill that spot. So will Nintendo, because they got Skyrim, one of the better versions. So anyway, that was it. I think that it's a vacuum. Somebody will come to fill it, including it might be Sony. Maybe you'll get a better game in 5 years when Sony buys Bluepoint and, makes a Skyrim their version.
Right on.
That was it.
Joshua Meyer writes in, hey guys, I feel like Xbox is always lacking in peripherals. Do you think they will ever get into the VR space with their close relationship with PCs?
Oh, peripherals. Microsoft's got like the adaptive controller, which is probably the best thing to happen for like handicapped people, differently.
Yeah, I swear. I thought someone like out in the other room yelled an expletive the way your fucking head just snapped.
Oh, mine? The way my head snapped? Sorry. Yeah. I was just like, what? Because like, I just did a video on the adaptive control. I have friends in the military who've like, they were wounded. And I would say VR, I get him. I'm with him. But Albert Pinello distinctly discussed why VR did not come out. He was very clear. They had attempted and they could not get the frame rate where they wanted it. And Sony went with an extra chip, which has its own issues, including not being able to do HDR for the original version. They had to release a whole new version for PSVR. I agree with him, though. I'd love to see VR. I'd kill to see it on.
It'd be nice.
Xbox Series X.
It would, it really would be nice because as of right now, I have a Vive, and it's like just the setup is like I love it, but it's also just like, man, do I really want to?
Chris, dude, I can touch mine right now, right now. I'm touching it, and I won't put it on. I'm right now, and I love VR. I do VR reviews, and even I'll be like, Squadrons with headset, with that.
That was the last time I put on my VR headset, Squadrons, yeah.
And Squadrons, by the way, phenomenal VR game.
Yeah.
But
I really want to get into it.
No Man's Sky.
The thing, it's like I want to play that game, but I refuse to play it in anything but VR. But
right,
I
get
can't.
your drift.
I can't bring myself to do it.
Yeah. It's so VR. So it needs to be these, right? Like once VR becomes glasses, they sort of close off and you put on. I think we're going to be looking at a different situation.
Yeah, I honestly wasn't that into it until I saw Boneworks last year.
Yeah,
you like that?
I was like, I was impressed by it because I was like, oh shit, like this is actually what VR
Chris,
is.
do you like VR or do you like Fallout 4? Or do you think Fallout 4 is terrible? Okay.
No, I think people are unnecessarily hard on Fallout 4. I think it actually plays pretty well.
I am telling you right now, if you ever get a chance, Fallout 4 modded is one of the best. I have over 1,300 hours in that. 1,300, just check. It's ridiculously good. Dude, the first time, we could go off. Sorry, I'll stop talking. VR, Fallout, because I will go off on that. It's such a good experience. it changes the way Fallout 4 feels. I just said I'd shut up and I continued talking. Go, Matty.
That's a testament to how good it is.
It's fucking awesome. Okay.
All right. Last question of the show, and then we wrap it up. Fuck, marry, and kill. Always the best kind of question. Master Chief, Marcus Phoenix, and the Cyberpunk car from Forza Horizon.
What? That's a cop-out, last one. That's like barely... you can't even kill the car.
I was going to say, you can't kill it. It's not a living organism.
Let alone the other stuff. But the more important one, you can't kill.
All I know is I'm fucking the car.
I guess you could fuck the car.
Right?
And you could marry it. There was like some dude who married the concept of Spider-Man or something. So I can't remember what the hell it was. He like married
there was a lady who married a roller coaster.
I saw.
Did you see that?
Saw
that shit's crazy, man. Like, people are awesome. That's all I'm saying.
I think I'm gonna fuck the car. I'm gonna marry Marcus Phoenix. I'm gonna kill Master Chief because he never dies. He just ends up floating into space and someone rescues him. So even if I were to shoot him off the planet or anything, he's not dead.
I would have the same answers, but I would swap Chief and Marcus. Like Marcus is in a depressed universe anyway. He wants to die. I'll help him out. And Chief seems like reliable and low maintenance. So it seems like that's a pretty good marriage, I think.
That's true. All right, so we got two of us banging a car. Karak, are you joining us?
Dude, I don't play these fucking games, man.
No,
it goes too far if there was a choice to be made, but it's just so weird. I'd kill them all, nonsense. To be brutally honest. I will say it's funny he mentioned Master Chief, reliable and stuff. Real quick, I just have to ask you guys a question. I've been revisiting Halo like lore and stuff as we get closer, or hopefully get closer to the next Halo. And I was thinking about like the love affair, call it whatever you will, between him and Cortana. And I was like, I actually think that might be my favorite part of the game. And it sounds really weird because they're not good actors, and they don't really need to be great. She only says a couple things and he only says a couple things. But there's like at the end of when she goes crazy, is that 5?
I think it's 4.
4 is the one where she goes crazy. Is this the one where she dies?
No, it's when she goes crazy and he says something like, I'll find you no matter what, or what. Like there's a point in one of those games where I remember him saying something to the effect of like,
it might be 5.
It might be 5. And I remember thinking, you know what? Strangely enough, in first-person shooters, you rarely have good stories. And I think the asexual tone of that relationship, of like him, and she's not real. Commander Keyes died, which I think they were sort of close. If you read the books, they were close.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking about that a couple days ago. I was like, you know what? It's not a love story. I don't know what you'd call it, but a comrade story. And I think that I brought it up just because you were talking about Marcus and Dom and all that stuff and their bro, their best bros kind of relation. I'm starting to realize I dig that in games. Like I absolutely adore like friends forever. Like no matter what happens, it's like I'll find like the person's like, they've taken this fucking person to the other end of the universe, and the other guy just stands up and he's like, I'll get you no matter what, which is probably why Garrus is liked so much in Mass Effect, or Rex, Rex, Shepard.
No, I think those relationships of those games are really, really, really great. Like I think the original Halo trilogy is like genuinely great.
I think so too.
It's probably some of the best storytelling you could get in a first-person shooter. I know Half-Life is great as well, but but
without telling a story consistently, I think they work. Like, just with a little ear in your ear or something she says, something he reacts to, it pays off, man.
It's character interaction. Like I always like those moments where it's just like, you really trust Cortana that much, sir? Yes, sir. And it's just like immediate.
Yeah,
and it's like,
right.
And you don't even have to really say anything more than that. It's not like this like big Shakespearean soliloquy or anything.
No, and I think that's why it works, right? Because games that try that, other than what's the shooter where you're the bad guy at the end? I bring this up all the time. Yeah, so Spec Ops, that was more along those lines, but rarely does a game succeed when they go that way, unless it's like, I would say Uncharted 4, I know, I don't think Maddie's played it, but I would say Uncharted 4 succeeded because of the some foreshadowing they did in that game. But for the most part, games just don't appeal to me. And I've found out that really quick, blurbish kind of gameplay, if done well, is like what I like the most. Halo's definitely, as I'm replaying it, I'm really enjoying it. Even though it's not the Master Chief version. Still doesn't work.
Yeah.
You said you were playing it, though, Chris?
Yeah, it works fine for me.
Can't even get a multiplayer game. Have never successfully in the history of that game got a multiplayer game to work. Ever.
That's fucking
Since
fascinating.
day one of release.
I mean, we got to do a lobby. Maybe I'll just.
No, yeah, we need to. It'll work. Knowing my luck, but
Yeah.
Karak, I just want to let you know you're a nerd.
why? Because I love
the reason
Cortana.
I asked you if you would smush a car, and you talked about your connection to Cortana, and you talked about relationships in games. You really just
That's a way
I had
better
to-
answer.
I had to
It's a
skip
way better
because
answer.
You-
to
you were
me,
just so
murder, fuck,
thought-provoking,
kill,
it pissed
or
me off.
murder, fuck, whatever has to be like a choice. Like people I would care about if I had to murder them. People go too far, and you're just like whatever. So I decided to break it down. People always tease me on this podcast, in your Discord, in my Discord, about being like unfeeling, and I was like, I am. I don't really give a shit. But then I was like, why do I like Life is Strange so much? Like Life is Strange,
have a
Oxenfree, two of my favorite games of all time. Right, but I think it's friendship that I like. It's when it's like relationships in games, dude.
I feel like you're trying to give me a hint. I appreciate our friendship too.
It's
You're
sort
great.
of no, not yours. But I'm saying real friend. Dude, do you see the comments about us all the time too?
What?
People are like,
I mean,
the first podcast, people, like, I had people DMing me and were like, dude, you can tell you guys have podcast before. Like,
Yeah,
it's
100%.
ridiculous. It's like two people who have lived with each other or something. It's just crazy. Like, it doesn't feel like a new podcast is what most people say. Even though I apologize to people again, I did have a migraine at the starting of this, so I was quiet, but
no,
we're getting better.
You're good. You took it out on, who was our
I took it out on whoever the jackass was.
Adrian.
I love him. It wasn't him. It was the people who DM'd me.
Yeah. He
Getting
triggered
into your
it.
personal life, man. Shit's weird. I had somebody dox me too. You guys ever had that happen?
Yeah.
I've had it happen a couple times. Yeah, it's frustrating.
Oh, dude. Let's end this on a good one. Hashtag.
Hashtag. You don't want to just stick with Defying Duke, just the default hashtag?
Oh, we can, for sure.
Do you think, I feel like that makes sense for this show.
Let's do it.
We'll do hashtag Defining Duke. You send us on Twitter your feedback. And with that, we should definitely wrap this up, actually. We're nearing 2.5 hours.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's not anyone's fault. I think it's just the nature of having three hosts. I really do.
This happens all the time whenever we do Sacred Symbols.
So with that, it's time for us to end this show. Thank you so much for you tuning in, for listening to everything we have to say, from hot takes to garbage takes to Halo talk and all of that good stuff. We appreciate you. Chris, thank you so much for joining us. If people want to find you,
it was a lot of fun. It's nice to talk about this entire avenue of the industry that I don't normally get to talk about. And I'm sure when Infinite has some stuff, I'll be back.
I'll be ringing your
your
doorbell. Yeah.
A lot of hot takes.
I was gonna say, I'm sure a lot of people who listen are already familiar with you. For those who aren't, where can they find you?
If you Google ChrisRayGun, you'll find me on something that's related to me. I'm sure. I've got a channel. I'm on Sacred Symbol. I don't know.
I love how simple
at this
that
point,
is.
I trust anybody listening to have used the internet before. You can find me if you really wanted to, and if you don't, that's fucking fine.
That is the best self promo I think I've heard. Most people are like, here's my handle, here's my YouTube channel, you gotta check this out, and you're just like, fucking Google me. Thank you. Goodbye.
Dude, that's because somebody wants to watch your stuff if they find you. I firmly believe that. I firmly believe it. It's like, if you find me, then I know you're a real person who either really wants to like me or really wants to hate me.
Yeah.
Is that hat fit you, or is that the cat hat from the original game?
This is just the legendary edition. It's like a DVD. Yeah.
That's actually pretty sweet.
That is
it's next to my desk all the time.
I want one that I can wear. I always wanted it as a kid.
I know, dude. When they were giving that hat away, I remember people were putting it on their cat because it was too small. And I remember sitting there going like, dude, if they had figured out a way to get that under budget, like, I don't know, people in China, make them work harder, whatever. I would have loved to have worn a Halo hat, like to a podcast. That would have been so great.
Well, with that, we leave you with our Halo hat desires. And we will see you all next week with episode 4 of Defining Duke.
Wow.
Duke, yeah. The Divining Duke. It's a holy
Divining
podcast. All right, it's time to wrap this up before I stutter anymore, all right? Take good care of yourselves, and we'll see you next week.
Peace out.
Peace.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the good old USA. The show was conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Jeremy ACG Penter. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level or higher on Patreon, and we're grateful for your kindness and generosity.